Life 17, mistakes have consequences. Azazel was shocked and in disbelief, realizing that she looked so young yet a long way older than he was, but this time there was important news that he needed to say. His mind running at 400 km/h, he was on the verge of just spilling everything, but he was brought to his senses when he heard Runa's voice. Runa's, sit down, relax, you're all a mess, I can see what you want to tell my great-great-great-grandson something. Smiles. The way she smiled showed her authority over all of them, and since Azazel wasn't going to start any arguments, he had to oblige and do what she said. The room was tense. They could see she's upset about something, and they were clearly at fault. It was written on her face. Azazel, okay. There was a different type of fear they were getting from her. She was nice, yet looked like she could kill you instantly. They sat down, and Riaz looked for Arena but couldn't find her. She could sense her peace in the room, but she was yet to be seen with the others, and they looked like they want to talk. Runa's, good, now that you are all here, I believe you all have made a huge mistake regarding a young man named Issei. They all had to bite their tongues knowing how badly they messed up with him, and how she brought it up wouldn't give anyone much time to think to get a clear story across. Runa's, now tell me, did my morals mean nothing for you to follow? If you knew what he really was, he would still be with you now, but clearly, neither of you made the choice to help him. Sirzechs, at the time there was nothing we could do, and Runa's, Sama, what do you mean what he is? Riaz looked down at her hands, the memories of how he begged for help, yet she didn't do anything for him. She shed a few tears for him, but tried her best to not cry right now, but a few tears did escape. Runa's, sighs, you'll figure it out. Now look at her, she's guilty, all of you are. It's a pitiful sight to see on my family, and now you have the Dragon Clan making threats at you as well. Now that isn't what I wanted when I made the deal with the Dragon King Issei Hyoudou. They were shocked hearing the name coming from her and now knew the Dragon King's name could have a relation to Issei. They all looked down thinking about it, but some didn't. They looked excited and wanted to speak. Azazel, but things changed. He was cut off by Runa's when she spoke again, and she used her power to shut them all up. It was a dangerous feeling, but they all kept quiet to not make her angrier. Runa's, hold it, I'm not done yet. Azazel, Zenoviva, Saji, and the rest of Sona's peerage looked confused, but still wanted to talk about what they just learned. Runa's, I'm sure you've seen the boy with a ring of mine. Sirzechs, yes we have. I've been meaning to ask, why does he have your ring? Runa's, think of it as an exchange. He gave me this and I gave him my ring so I can get hold of him when I want. She pulled out the engagement ring they gave Issei and placed it on the table. They all looked confused to why she had it. Riaz wanted to shed tears but forced herself not to. She didn't want to believe what was going to happen. Runa's, he told me to give you this back. It clearly didn't mean that much to you, so he gave it back. Ria's heart started beating fast. Runa's had his engagement ring and gave it back to them. Runa's, let me show you something. I have a feeling you have questions. She took out a device and it showed a projection of Issei being tortured on Amazon Lily. Runa's, when you banished him, you sent him to Amazon Lily. They found him and they had him and they tortured him for a month. She showed them pictures and videos of him either being beaten, burnt, stabbed, and even crucified, and then used as a target to the pictures of him sitting in his cell. They couldn't help hearing him scream in pain when they stabbed him and used him for target practice. They wanted to run and help him, but this was long ago already. Ria's, tears running, where is he now? Runa's, I don't know. He was imprisoned for 2 days in that cell, but I thought I might as well show you why they let him free. Well, one of the reasons. A video started and he started playing his instruments. https://youtube/b/ntbln24sjdm https://youtube/a095tzn xfwm https://youtube/7jjfjjyhou. Riaz properly started crying, seeing how much they hurt him. The other, they had to hold back some tears, realizing they hurt him a lot. Venelana couldn't even look at the video. She made him trust her, and then she threw it in his face when he needed that trust to come back to him. She felt ashamed for her actions. Same along with Female Sirzechs, Grafia, and Sirzechs. The others were feeling guilty. They couldn't even help him when he needed their help. Even the others, they didn't like the way he was being punished more when he was innocent. Runa's, as you can see, he is alive and well. The last thing he did for Hancock was defeat some devils that wanted every woman and child dead on the island. He killed all of them, and he killed them before most of them even reached the shoreline. She showed the video she could get her hands on and showed them the video of Hancock asking for his help and how he handled it, showing a completely different level of power than what they last knew him for. They were impressed he still did something nice for others. They watched as he killed the men without hesitation and had a lot more power than he's shown before. Runa's, after that I sat down with him and we had a talk. Here's what he had to say. The clip played. Runa's, Issei, do you know who I am? Issei, given the red hair I would say a Gremory, but your eyes say different. Runa's, you can call me Runa's Gremory or even Ni's Gremory, whichever you feel comfortable with. I'm the first Gremory to live. Issei, so I'm going to guess about maybe 1 or 2 generations. Runa's, I like the way you are thinking, but when I say first, I mean the first generation. You have way more happening before me. Issei, cool, then I think I can give this to you. He opened his hand and they saw a ring come out. He walked over to her and placed it in her hands. Runa's, confused, the Gremory King's ring, why do you have it? Issei, I was engaged to the current heritress of Gremory, Ria's, and after recent events I don't think I can keep it. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll ever trust your family again. They really hit me where it hurts. Runa's, it's alright Issei, I have been planning to see them before Ria's is made the head, but I think I'll keep this and show it to them when I see them. Issei, if they haven't figured out that I'm alive yet and they ask how you got it, just say they broke him. He looked sad, all of them could see it. Hancock, is something wrong? Issei nodded and explained recent events and how they hurt him without even questioning it or trying to prove him innocent, and how he was engaged to Ria's in the first place, then his last month on Amazon Lily. Gloriosa, barely even 17 yet such a horrible life. I'm sorry on behalf of the woman of the island. Issei, what can you do about its life is life, it's what you make of it really. Runa's, you're right, but I don't believe my family to be so cold. Perhaps a reminder of the real big boss is needed. Issei, do what you want, I'm over it. I had 2 days to put it past me. Hancock, but are you over it? They saw as he looked at Hancock for a bit, then spoke again. Issei, time will tell, but right now I don't know. He sat back down and cracked his back. They all know how much he used to crack his bones, but this time the crack sounded painful. Gloriosa, where do you plan to go after this? Issei, I don't know, I think get a clear story with my biological human parents, then go see my grandmother maybe. I don't know, she hasn't picked up my calls recently. Runa's, biological human parents, you do know you're not human, right? Issei, yeah, but I was one. Hancock, Issei means you've never been one. Issei, what? No, I'm pretty sure I've been human. Runa's, what was your family name before you met my family? Issei, Hyoudou. Runa's, I think go talk to your parents because Hyoudou is a family name related to the dragon clan to my knowledge. Issei was shocked, this was never heard of before. He fell over looking at his hands. Runa's, Issei, look at me. He looked up at her with confusion and disbelief written on his face. Runa's, you might actually be more special than you think, asterisk smiling. The clip ended and they were shocked beyond belief. Sirzechs, Serafal, and Ajuka didn't think to look into him at all. The rest were shocked to see that he was this much of an important figure. Venelana, it makes sense as to why his supposed parents said what they said that day. We really didn't know what was going on. Runa's, as you have seen, you hurt him a lot and nearly ruined an amazing chance to have with the Dragon Clan. I'm sure you all know how strong they are, and if you find them strong now, imagine when they are in their prime. They still young, so this isn't their full potential. Sirzechs, shocked, but how? None of this makes sense. How did he even survive? Why didn't he let us know? Did we really push him that far away? I mean, I know what we did, there's no forgiving it, but still. Ria's, sad he's really not coming back, is he? Runa's, I can't account for his actions and how he survived, but he's been on a journey for the past few months. This is hardly the first month. Let me show you something the same. He freed Amazon Lily. The clip played and they saw how he had to make Hancock blush and she kissed him. Ria's heart sank when she saw him smile. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She wanted it to be a lie, but deep down she knew that it was the truth. Runa's, then there's this. She showed them a picture of them in bed. None of them could believe what they were seeing. Neither of them expected him to move on so quickly. Runa's, nothing happened with them though, but now you are looking at the first person she ever shared a bed with. It was to make up for how her people treated him. Sure, it wasn't much, but he even knows how big of a deal it is for her to share a bed with him. Then she showed them the picture with her in the bed, and the picture of them as well. Runa's, he proceeded to spend a few months there before he left. Hancock did tell me that he's become a very close friend of his, and she offered marriage, and he said he has someone that comes first, but he promised he'll call her when things are fixed. They were in disbelief that he managed to have the Snake Queen under his finger and even had marriage on the table with her as well. But when Riaz heard that someone was coming first, she couldn't help but get anxious, thinking that he was talking about her. Riaz, could he be talking about me? Runa's, then I don't know what happened for a few weeks, but it was around the time he and the girl he's currently with took the things from the caves in Hawaii. She showed pictures of the new looks, how they disguised themselves so they wouldn't be seen, and how they at least had some fun while in Hawaii exploring everything. Zenoviva, didn't she say her name is Akari? Runa's, after they took their things from the caves, I called him, and he had this to say. A clip played. Runa's, Issei, you there? Issei, yeah, I'm here, what's going on? Runa's, well, I woke up this morning all well and dandy, and the devil community is freaking out because a relic mine was raided and some powerful items were stolen. Tell me, by any chance are you in Hawaii? Issei, yeah, that was us. Runa's, us. Akari, hi. Runa's, wait a second. The ring let out a projection and they could see Issei and Akari next to him. Runa's, want to explain the look? Issei, well, some discoveries were made. I'm a prince and she's a princess of the dragon clan, but it seems 5 families made up the whole clan. Mine was one and hers was another. We found a book and a few things that were left for us with notes. Akari, hi, I'm Akari Furman. Runa's, hello dear, I'm Runa's Gremory, but wow, I'm in shock. I never expected to see the two of you together, but what all did you take? Issei, well, one was a sword that belonged to my late father. Akari, smiling, and the other was my late mother's spear. They showed her the items and she was impressed by them. Runa's, well done, I must say. I didn't expect 2 members of the world's strongest clan in the Underworld to be making progress this quickly. Issei, but we have a few documents that need to be read through, then maybe we can get a bigger picture. We are missing a lot of memories ourselves, so right now we may still be at step 1. Runa's, by any chance do you have pictures of your time there? Issei, you want to make some memories of when we brought the clan back to glory. She nodded and smiled. Akari, I'll send them to Issei to send you. I oversaw photos. Runa's, I can't wait to see the devils start to freak out when you come back into power. Issei, why are you so interested in our clan anyways? Runa's, your clan was strongest for a reason. Some considered your clan gods and they were unstoppable, but one day it changed. Your clan was wiped off the face of the earth and Underworld, not a trace, so imagine my excitement when I saw you. Issei, wow, but I'm going to start putting things together and keep you updated on things, and I'll let you know what happens. Runa's, you better. I still have a bone to pick with your father, so I'll have you finish it for me. Issei, how about when we empower again? She nodded and disappeared. Clip end. Runa's, so my deal is still a possibility, but she is now the current queen of the dragon clan, and he is the king. They are very powerful creatures. They will even put your dragons to shame. He just happens to have the boosted gear with him. Why do you think his power was so different, and the way his body reacted with it? That's a special dragon species that originated from the same time as the original Satan faction. They have always been stronger than us, and now with them in the picture, say bye-bye to the devil faction. I have a good feeling he's going to get some serious payback. They couldn't believe what they were seeing and hearing. He's done so much since he's gone, and now he's more dangerous than ever. Sirzechs, then I suppose that explains how Shin knew things about us. But I want to talk to him. I need to see if I can get him on our side. Even if we serve him, I need to protect my family and make it up to him. Azazel, oh crap. They all looked at him holding his face. Azazel, he said, or she mentioned something about them being married, but they had their memories wiped for protection, something along those lines. Ria's monotone, so she's his wife. Runa's, hey wait, I didn't know that, let me call him and see what he's up to. She started the call and they got excited and all kept quiet. They saw his face appear. Shin, not a good time, aka get more towels while I try and stop the bleeding. Akari, here I got it, talk to Runa's while I start to heal her. Shin, out of breath, what's up, it's a really bad time. Runa's, sorry, but why didn't you tell me you changed your name? Shin, sorry about that, I honestly forgot, but my name is now Shin Issei Hyoudou. I kept Issei because it was my name for so long it feels wrong to just remove it completely, plus I feel I'd have an identity crisis if I didn't keep it. Runa's fair enough, and what's this about you being married? You could have told me about that, don't you think? Shin, well, after our last call we went to sleep, and then while I was reading the logs from our protectors, we found the marriage certificate from when we were kids. The timeline is going the night we got married the attack happened, and then we were separated. Right now we are a couple, but we don't plan of breaking off the marriage because it was the last thing our parents wanted. Runa's, what about Hancock? Shin, I honestly considered sharing. At first I was against it, but I had to make that choice. Akari is my number 2 and Hancock is my number 3. There's one more girl I want to talk to, but that's for another time when I bring the Dragon Clan back into power. They then heard a voice in the background. Akari in the background, dude, she's stable, the bleeding stopped. Shin, okay, I'll be there now. If you see Riaz and the others, tell them when we teleported to our home for the time being, Irina forced herself to come with us. And since it's a different teleporting method, and only take the body not the object, making her a devil, so we just healed her, but she's going to be in recovery for a while. Runa's, noted. Before you go, did you hear Riaz had a miscarriage? Shin, deep breath. Yeah, I heard. Whenever you see them, tell them to make sure Roswace doesn't drink anything, she can't handle her alcohol. But when she told me, my heart broke. The woman I love had to deal with that without me, and there was nothing I could do to change it. But look, don't expect me to run to her now. Things are going down that need my focus right now. I'll beat myself up about it later. I still don't know who or what I truly am yet. And tell Grafia to get her to relax. Dragon bobbies are worse than devil bobbies. If there is too much stress in the environment, it can cause a miscarriage, but if the father, such as myself, isn't around, the baby will die, because like devils that need their parents' magic to feed on dragon bobbies, if a boy will take after their father, and if a girl the mother, so I'm assuming our son died because I wasn't present. She shouldn't beat herself up about it. I am not angry with her, more myself. Runa's, well, that's for you to figure out. Enjoy the evening. I know you're going to spend it reading that log book. Shin, haha, funny. We going to Amazon Lily next. There's something for us in the middle of the volcano, so we should be there for the next few days or months, depending on what happens this side. Runa's, I might just pop by again. Shin, your choice. See you later. Everyone else, I know you there. You're not fooling me with that. He put down the call and she looked at them. Runa's, well, I know where my journey is going again, but don't think you can just go to Amazon Lily. I know that's what you think. It's not going to end well. Hancock is very dangerous, especially towards the men, so you might have trouble even getting near the island before they shoot you down. Riaz got up and just went to her room. She lay on her bed, her heart racing. Issei still loved her, and he was also hurt by the pregnancy, but the fact he still loved her was all she wanted to know and hear. She knew she can make it up to him, but he was so far away, and she knows she won't see him for a while still. The others were happy to know he was alive, but the threat of him being an enemy was still there, and they didn't know how to deal with that. With Shin and Akari a few minutes earlier, they landed in the living room of the cabin they were staying at, and as they landed they saw Irina on the ground bleeding out. Both immediately went into action to try and help her to stop the bleeding. The injury wasn't as bad, but the bleeding was still bad. While covering up the injury, his ring from Runa started glowing. So he had to stop and take the call, and Akari took over. When he was done with the call, he sat down and looked at Irina on the ground. He could hear her heartbeat still beating strong and well. But it still scared him to see her like this. Akari, you brave, still saying you love Riaz in front of all of them. She placed the food in front of him, and the steam went up his nostrils, making him cough. Shin, well, I spoke the truth. Right now I may not trust her. I want to see her actions before I even think of letting her back into my life. Akari, fair enough. So what do the books say? We can look at them while we wait for Irina to wake up, and I know for a fact the Book of Ventus hasn't changed. He looked at her and remembered that the Book of Ver was actually meant to say the Book of Ventus. It was the family her mother was a part of, very powerful wind users, and it gave her some backstory to her history, but they could read that book cover to cover. Nothing was hidden. The log books, on the other hand, looked very different, and now this scroll as well. Shin, well, the scroll is a source of power. Only we would be able to take power from it, and other factions and clans won't be able to. But that's not what concerns me. What does is that the notes are becoming less and less. We're not even getting all the logs anymore. Even when I shine light behind the pages, they really are blank. We might have reached the end of the log books. Akari, in the box that you found. Shin, still nothing that can unlock it. I wonder what it is. The seals haven't gotten any weaker. If anything, they look stronger. Akari, oh well, maybe we find something on Amazon Lily. Shin, maybe, and I'm doubtful that they would come to Amazon. Lily Hancock will shoot them down if they are not careful. Akari, well, eat up. I think we can go to the Underworld tomorrow or in the next week depending on her. I'm so excited. Shin, Catherine really never took you. Akari, nope, not at all, never even let me learn magic. Shin, well then, you're in for a fun time. It's a nice place. Now tell me, have you been practicing your dragon senses? She grew a blush and looked away from his eyes. Shin, Akari. Akari, blushing, ah no, I haven't. You see, I was getting a bit too involved with being a shrine maid and all. Shin, fine, I'll let you off this time. Next time it's punishment. Akari, worried, and what's that? Shin, I tickle you till you pee or start crying. Akari, shocked, you wouldn't. Shin, you want to test me? Akari, no, fine, I promise I'll be working hard. Shin, good. They chuckled and continued eating, getting the logs ready for them to read and put together. He kept looking at Runa to make sure she was fine in between, but she was still sleeping soundly. Chapter End. Life 18, a new kind of creature. The last thing Irina remembers is the fact she had pushed herself when she realized Shin and Issei were the same person. She remembers that she wasn't going to lose him again. She remembers she forced herself to fly towards him and she managed to touch him, and that was it. She blacked out. As she opened her eyes, she could see a different Selling than what she used to. She could feel that her body felt different, weaker. She gently sat up and pain shot through her body and she laid back down. She looked at her arm and saw she was covered in band-aid. She felt the side of her face and there was still some band-aid wrapped around the side of her head. She and somewhat see through the band-aid, so she knows she didn't lose an eye. She was able to move her head around, and when she looked to the side and saw Shin resting his head on the side of the bed, sleeping, waiting for her to wake up. She forced herself up as much as she could so she could sit up as best as possible. She then started messing with his hair, causing him to speak in his sleep. Shin, half asleep, no, Eerie, let me sleep, we can play later. She couldn't help but smile, then messed with his hair again, seeing if he would wake up. Shin, half asleep, Eerie, let me sleep. Within seconds he shot up and saw her sitting up. He grabbed her into a hug. Shin, thank God you're alive. Irina in pain. Issei, wait, still injured and stronger than normal. Shin, oh yeah, I forgot about that. He gently let her go and then sat down on the chair again. The mood was somber for the two of them. Both had so much to say, yet there was so much change they didn't know where to start. Irina, tearing up, why sniff, why didn't you come back to us? Why didn't you come back to me? He took a deep breath, then gently held her hand and looked into her eye. Shin, when I was sent away I was weakened and I spent a month on an island of women that tortured me for a month. My brain ran on autopilot to try and survive and come back, but towards the end of that month when I was taken and put into a holding cell, a thought crossed my mind. I have nowhere safe to go. I didn't want to risk the chance of being rejected again, so I stayed away from everyone. Irina, crying, we would have made a plan, we could have helped you. Shin, I know, but at the time when you thought I was dead, what was the devil faction like? Irina, besides those that knew you angry wherever we went, all we saw was hate posters of you. Shin, my point exactly, plus right now I'm not even sure what my life is going to be like. We both grown, you and me, but you have no idea what it's like to be able to talk to you like this. You know I love you just as much as Ria's * light blush. Irina, blushing, I love you too, but Issei, you're married. Akari, well, I was the one that got him to accept sharing because if he wants to keep his promise to my mother, he has no choice. I had a feeling he loves you more than he lets off, isn't that right, Shin? Shin, blushing, shut up. Both girls couldn't help but laugh seeing him blush like this. Irina, so I am assuming you're his number one then. Akari, number 3, most probably. He loved you more than he has me and knows you longer, so I don't mind being number 3. She got into the bed with Irina and sat next to her with a smile on her face. Shin, blushing, yeah, so that's going to happen if you feel the same. Irina, blushing, I do, but we can the specifics later. Shin, sure thing, we can do that. Irina, pouting, but I wouldn't mind a kiss though, from time to time. She was pouting, looking away from him. He chuckled and took her chin and gave her a kiss. When he pulled away, he couldn't help but smile. Akari, nice anyways, Newt, you need to tell her. Irina, confused, tell me what? Shin, when you teleported with us, it took everything but the evil piece, making you a devil. When we got here, you started bleeding out because your body was going into a sort of shock. Irina, oh, I want to help you guys, but not if I am going to be a burden to you both. Shin, that's where this comes in. He got up and came back with a book in his hands. Irina, what is this book? Shin, it's called the Book of Venus, and it was from Akara's mother Madden family. We have yet to find the other family books, but I'm sure they are somewhere for us to find. You see, this book has special characteristics that each family member was able of making and giving powers to the people and special guards. Irina, does that mean I'll have to submit to her? Akari, no, not at all. He mentioned that your parents weren't happy when you became a devil, but imagine their shock when you become a member and one of the wives of the next head of the dragon clan. Irina, okay, so how do we do this? Shin, you first need to heal. You're still in recovery. Irina, here, use these. She took off her twilight healing rings and handed them into his hands. He put them into the gauntlet and then opened his hand around her, and she started healing. He kept doing this till he felt that she would be healthier and even stronger. When he finished healing her, Akari slowly took off her bandages and she was completely healed. Shin, good, now you look better. How do you feel? Irina, a bit stiff, but I should be all right. She got out of bed and she and Akari stood next to each other. Both had their hair down and Shin was dumbfounded. Both of them looked the same. He couldn't look away, sure he's seen both of them differently, and he could tell them apart, but their similarities was almost scary to him, even the way they look at him with a head tilt and a small pout whenever they look confused. Shin, I am saying it now, don't you dare mess with me. They looked at each other, then it clicked, it's messing with him. Seeing the two of them, they both started smiling and couldn't help but mess with him. Irina, smug, whatever do you mean? Akari, smug, I have no idea what you're talking about. Shin, come on, let's see what Eri wants to be, then we can move on from there. They nodded and came outside. Irina, whoa, this cloaking spell is powerful, not even Lady Graphia would be able to do this. Shin, I know the magic around here, and the magic we have been learning as we go has gotten stronger now than before we started with Irina. Akari, remember when we saw the memories of that night when we escaped? Akari, yeah, what about it? Shin, all right, so we both figured my father was the fire user, henceforth I have the fire abilities. Akari, yeah, and I have wind, what's your point? Shin, my mother was able to use ice. I think if I focus on it, I might be able to use her water dragon powers. Akari, we never saw my father, so we don't know what his power was. If you can figure it out, we need to figure out what the Book of Firman was. Shin, exactly, now before we go to the Underworld again, I want Eri to be up to date, and if we can learn more about my theory and we can use both, it would make us even more dangerous. She nodded. Irina, let's do this. Shin opened the Book of Ventus and showed her the different types of followers for the House of Ventus. Irina, I think the best one is the Monarch of Light. She pointed to the role and the power set she would have. Shin, not bad. When you had the Excalibur Mimic, you were able to use a few light attacks, right? Irina, yeah, because at the time I was channeling potential powers for a light user. Shin, perfect. Akari, you know what to do. She stepped forward and nodded. Akari, hopefully this doesn't hurt. She opened her hands and the wind started blowing around them. A golden light started to spread around Irina. Akari, from the beginning of time, stand forth, stand true to oneself, flow with the ability to show how dazzling you are, with the power to slay gods and make evil submit, become the beacon that leads everyone to their destiny. A large flash happened and Irina stood with light leaving her body. She looked at her hands and saw the amount of light she was generating. She could feel the power leaving her body. She felt stronger than she could have ever. Irina, well, this is amazing. Akari, look at your hair, the tips are turning to my hair color. She took some of her hair and she could see the change forming. Shin, nice to meet you, Monarch of Light. Now then, let's get started with some training. Both girls nodded and they got set up to begin. In the Underworld, Graphia was holding Milica's, who was happy for a change, so was everyone else. They were happy Issei was alive, but with his changes they needed to tread lightly. They knew he's going to be happy to see Milica's again. Even Seraphal was in a better mood, but this meeting was how to treat around Issei or Shin. Saji, I have a rough idea of how this is going to go down. They all looked at him to hear him out. Saji, he's going to be focused with mission now, whether that be he's going to be killing devils or the brigade. I suggest we don't get in his way. When Lady Runa's was talking with him, I was able to see the changing aura coming off him, and he's going to be a force to reckon with. I believe he's past all 3 devil kings at this point. It would be a suicide to try and fight him. Sirzechs, I agree, he's been growing stronger since the day I turned him into a devil, but when I think about it, As the Devil Kings, we should have picked up his differences and ran more checks on him. Perhaps the elders figured this out back when I let him meet them, and he used his aura to intimidate them, mainly the elder that was killed. Serafal, you don't suppose this was the plan to get him killed by us so they don't lose their power? Perhaps they thought he knew what they did to his clan, so to save their own necks from being killed, they put this plan together. Riaz, if that's the case, it's not going to end well in our favor as devils. I was wondering what Runa's Sama's deal was with Issei's father. Aquino, you don't suppose they knew this was going to happen, so the deal could have been along the lines of protection and allying with them, and becoming part of the Dragon Clan. Zeotics, I wouldn't be surprised. My great-great-great-grandmother wasn't a greedy person. She always put her family first, which was why she was upset when she said we nearly messed up her deal, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the deal protection. Sona, I have a question. Azazel, by any chance do any of the gods, fallen angels, and even the angels have a problem with the Dragon Clan? I find it hard to believe that the Devil Clan alone made and executed a massive attack like they did without some help from the other factions. Azazel, no, all I know was during the fall of the Dragon Clan I was still a part of Heaven's Gates, and the angels haven't had a problem with the Dragon Clan. God refused to contact them due to the fact the king or leader of the Dragon Clan will always inherit a power that will put them on equal or higher footing. There was a reason most members of the clan were considered gods. Riaz, if Issei getting that type of power, won't it paint a target on his back? Sirzechs, not if he kills the elders and the leaders of the families from the 72 pillars. Venelana, I wonder what his plan is. Serafal, but I wonder if we can go to Amazon Lily before he gets there. It would make things easier to meet him like planned. Sirzechs. Sirzechs, I like that idea. Mind if you call her? Serafal, sure thing. She opened the communications link, and a hologram of her appeared on the table. Hancock, this is a lot of calling, don't you think? Serafal, sorry, but it's about Issei or Shin. He's going to be making his next stop at Amazon Lily. We're not sure when he's going to come, but would you allow us to stay on the island for a abbot till he comes to the island? Hancock, and if I do, what do I gain in return? You are aware of the deal we have. Sirzechs, we can guarantee the fact that he has agreed to marry you. They all looked at him in shock, not even thinking that she would love to hear this news. Hancock, happy? Oh, my dear husband, I don't care if they ruin the surprise. I'm more than happy to know that you'll marry me too. Cough, how many men would be coming along with you? As much as I love Shin, he's the only acceptation to come and go freely. The rest would be watched like hawks. Sirzechs, there would be about 7 of us, including myself. We will even bring you some weapons to help fight as a thank you for letting us on the land. Hancock, I suppose that will suffice. Let me know in advance when you plan to start your visit. Serafal, it would be tomorrow most likely. Hancock, so be it. The call ended and they all just looked at each other, anticipating seeing Issei again in the hopes of making it up to him. They all went to pack, and Riaz decided to pack some of Issei's old clothing to give to Hancock. She knows she loves his clothing, and if she's going to be part of his life, then she should have a few as well. She packed nearly all of it to give to Akari as well. Neither of them could sleep. They waited for the morning to come just so they could get to the island. The next day, Riaz and her peerage were present. Sona with her Serafal with Saji and the rest of the Gremory family, and Azazel with a bunch of notebooks. Sirzechs, right? Ajaka, we leave everything to you. Don't be afraid to call if you need us. Ajaka, worry not, your territories will be in good hands. They nodded and left and teleported to the island of Amazon Lily. When they arrived, they could feel the difference in magic. It felt more freeing and lighter too, with the added fact that they were on an island. It was a nice chain. Rossways, well, this place is beautiful. Riaz, no kidding. Runas, you guys don't waste time. They turned around and saw Runa standing with a tall, beautiful woman next to her with a shorter old lady. Hancock, you can follow us to your sleeping arrangements. Sirzechs, thank you so much. Hancock, They started walking and the others started to follow. Zenobia, this place is so different, it's weird not seeing any men around. Aquino, I suppose they like it this way. Milica's excited. Ide. They all looked at him and they saw him pointing at a large statue made of pure gold of Issei in the center of town, and many of the shops had his photo in them. Even the homes had a photo of him. Venelana, he seems to have had such a good impact around here, don't you think? Hancock, he did spend about 6 months here living with me and my sisters. Gloriosa, don't forget the fact that he trained every woman on this island to get them up to speed with new fighting styles. We were behind, and he helped us. They kept quite happy knowing Issei is still the same, helping where needed. As they walked closer to the castle, they came across 2 large snake-like beings looking down at them. Orange one, Marigold, what do we have here? Hancock, remember the ones that hurt Shin the day he came here? These are the same people. They are here to make things right with him. Green one, Sandersonia, they brave coming here when all the women on this island would kill them for hurting our brother. Hiss. As she opened her mouth, some venom dropped from her mouth, melting the ground. Hancock, relax my dear sisters. Runa says they won't be a problem. They both nodded and turned back into their human forms and opened the doors and let them in. As they walked in, they were taken back by the sheer amount of photos Hancock had made of Issei and hung them all over the place. Riaz walked next to Hancock and started a conversation. Riaz, as much as I love him too, this is a lot, don't you think? Hancock, he's the first man ever to sweep me off my feet. I've never felt like this before, so I don't know what I'm doing. Sandersonia, yeah, she's been lovesick since he got here. Marigold, let's not forget all the mistletoe. Both started laughing about it, and the others were confused. Serafal, what did you guys make him do? Sandersonia, just had them kiss a few times. You know how awkward the two of them were, not wanting to do anything to weird the other one out, so we just helped them a bit. Riaz, well, I have here a few of his old t-shirts before we wrongfully sent him here. I have some for Akari as well. I know what it's like when he's around, and these helped me a lot. She took out a red shirt and handed it to Hancock. She instantly sniffed it, taking in his scent that was still on it, then she squealed and hugged it. Azazel, I didn't think I'd ever in my life see the Snake Empress like this, don't you think? Sirzechs, nope. Ziotic, same. Kiba, if you don't mind me asking, but how do you all fight? You said Issei trained you all, but what do you fight with? Saji, that was playing on my mind too. Sandersonia, we use spears, bows, and arrows with clubs, very primitive, but after he was here we started using swords, and we each have a few alibis that set us apart from all of you. Grafia, I see. Hancock, follow me, I'll take you to your rooms. Each of them had a few rooms. Riaz was a surprising one. She was in the same room as Hancock. Riaz, are you sure you want to be sharing a room with me? Hancock, you're his first love. First marked, I know of Akari already, and you are the only other woman in his life. I'd just like to spend some time with someone who is potentially my sister in arms. Riaz, I see. Well, nothing has been confirmed yet. He keeps saying he has a number 1, but for all I know he's talking about Irina, his best friend. Hancock, so a new woman has entered the battle. Riaz, confused, what battle? Hancock, as you know, those he marries now will be considered the new queens of the Dragon Clan, and with how things are going, Akari is the only confirmed, considering she's been married to him already. So when I say battle it, who is he going to marry next? Riaz watched Hancock take her top off and put on the shirt of Issei's, and it was almost like a dress for her, given that Issei was bigger than Riaz. Even now Issei and Hancock might be the same height, but in terms of actual size, Issei is still bigger. Hancock, you know when he left here his chest was measured 106 cm. Riaz, blushing, you're joking, that's bigger than me, and I know I am blessed. Hancock, excited, I am not. He put on so much muscle mass while he was here and grew so much and so fast we thought he was crazy, but when I slept in his arms it was heaven being held in his huge arms. Riaz, blushing, when he left he was similar to Saji in build, but now you're saying he's bigger. She cupped her face to try and hide the blush. Hancock, what are you going to do when he gets here? Riaz, I haven't thought about it. The last time I saw him he was being executed, then I saw him at the beach with Akari. We didn't realize at the time that it was him, but I don't know what to say to him. There's so much I want to say, but it might just make me cry when I see him again. Hancock, well, I hope you figure it out. She nodded, and they all began the wait for Shin Issei to get here. At first it was a nice wait, then a week passed, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks passed, and he still hadn't arrived yet. Then one day, while everyone was pulling their weight around with cooking and hunting, an explosion went off on one of the surrounding islands. Everyone was confused and got ready for anything. Another one went off, and they saw a body flying towards the island and hit the shoreline. The body was covered in blood, but they soon realized who it was. It was Shin. He forced himself up and looked back at the figure flying in the air. I'll make sure that they feel every second of pain to get what we want. The figure took off and Shin started coughing out blood and collapsed. They all quickly ran to try and help him. They looked around for Irina and Akari to come help, but they were nowhere to be seen. Riaz, what the hell just happened? Chapter end. Life 19, Death to the Devils, Season 1 end. Shin was seriously injured and was losing a lot of blood and was quickly taken into a recovery room. But by the time they got him there, his body was burning and his wounds were already healing and closing. And his body was overflowing with power, shocking all of them about the power they were feeling. This was on another level of power they have felt even for the woman of Amazon Lily. They didn't expect him to have grown this much, only being away for about 6 months again. His power was growing so much it felt like he was going to attack them. Akino, what in the world? Hancock, is he getting stronger? The heat in the room started rising. They could all feel it. His eyes opened, and they turned red. His body started covering itself with scales. He jumped up and ran outside and then burst off, creating a portal. As he went through the portal, it stayed open. Sirzechs, mother, father, please wait here. We will be back. Venelana, please go help him. They nodded. Riaz and her peerage, Sona with her peerage, along with Azazel Sirzechs and Serafal with Saji, all jumped through, and when they came through the portal they were shocked. They were standing in front of the Devil Council building. Sirzechs, oh no. A few hours ago, with Shin, Akari, and Irina back on the island in the overworld. Shin, alright, you both did well. Both out of breath, thank you, Newt. They had just spent the last month training to get Irina up to speed with her power, and Akari was more used to her powers, so she wasn't taken off guard in the underworld. Akari, so what's next? Shin, we're done for now. We can go to Amazon Lily now. As he said this, he was blasted into the cabin. The girls were in shock seeing him blasted back so badly. As he collided with the house, it caught aflame. Both Shin. He pulled himself out of the rubble and absorbed all the fire, killing it before it spread. Shin, calm, angry, wanna say who you are before I kill you. The man smiled and showed off his sharp teeth with red glowing eyes. Looking down at them, Shin slowly covered his arms with scales and his horns grew out of his head. The name's Crom Crunch. You're meant to be dead, son of Kendrick. Now how did you get out of my grasp? Asterisk sharp grin. Shin looked at the man and he started lining up from the same figure that killed his mother and mother-in-law. When he made sure that this was the same person lining up over this person in front of him, it started pissing him off. Shin blasted off the ground and hit him in the face, pushing him back, but he retaliated by letting off a massive blast of fire that pushed Shin back to the ground. Shin, what the hell? Daydrag, he has some sort of physical booster on him. Shin, well, we can do our tricks. Shin took off again and pulled out a skillin and his dragon blade and made 2 slashes of fire toward him that heavily cut him. Both started speeding up, colliding with each other. Each of their attacks collided, causing multiple storms to form around them. Once Shin was far enough from the island where the girls were watching him, some masked figures came from behind them and grabbed them. Akari and Irina screamed, alerting Shin. As he looked back at the island, he saw them being taken away. He tried to get back to them, but as he got close enough, he saw a familiar building through the portal. As he was about to get through it, he had his back stepped in by Crom and forced him into the ground, and Crom tail was sent through Issei's collarbone, breaking the bone. Crom, that girl is going to suffer because you weren't strong enough to protect her. Even the other one, I'm going to smash their heads in like I did to your father. Crom stood over Shin, laughing at him, but this just fueled the fire. He was grabbed by the neck, and an arrangement of horns started growing out of his head, and his scales spread all over his body, and he slowly started growing in size. He started hitting him in the gut and ragdolling him into the ground. Repeatedly, Crom tried to fight back, but Shin used the dividing gear and took away some of his strength and forced him through a portal and landed on an island. As they landed, Shin forced all his fire into this attack and set off a massive explosion. Shin stood out of breath. He didn't think that the power difference between the two would be significant, but when he saw Crom slowly get up after that attack, he knew he was lacking something. Crom, when I killed Kendrick, I didn't think that his son would come back this week. You just like your mother, thinking she could make one large attack and think that was it. When I cut her down, her scream of pain couldn't have been a sweeter sound to my ears. Asterisk grins. Shin shocked. What? Before he had a chance to react, he was blasted back and landed on another island. His body was burning. It hurt. For once in a long time, he was feeling pain. He was slowly blacking out. He tried to force some fire out of his body, but he couldn't. He fell over, and the last thing he heard was Corm's voice. Crom, I'll make sure that they feel every second of pain to get what we want. Shin found himself in the void. It felt different. It wasn't like before when he met D-Drag. This time it was cold and empty. Shin, where am I? Somewhere I wouldn't think you would be. I expected better. He turned around and saw Sirzechs standing behind him. Shin, Sirzechs, what are you doing here? Sirzechs, well, you were once my pawn. My power was embedded into you. I'm always going to be part of you, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be seeing me more in this setting. Shin, I need to go. Akari and Irina are in trouble. He tried to walk, but he couldn't walk fast. The ground he was standing on kept his feet firm to ground. Sirzechs, what are you going to do? You don't even know what is the truth anymore. Tell me something. Who are you? Shin was taken back by the question. It's something he's been questioning since he was banished. His life turned upside down since then, and right now he doesn't know who he is. Shin, I'm someone who is always fighting even when his loved ones don't want him to. The figure of Sirzechs turned into Ria's. She stood behind him again, but she looked different. Her eyes didn't have any glow to them like they used to. They were dull and empty. Shin, I fight to protect you. You know I love you. Do you? He turned again and Ria's was gone, but Akari was there standing with a small smile on her face. Akari, you've been running from yourself, taking on things you know you shouldn't, even taking care of me. Yes, I love you for that, but have you slowed down enough to realize you've been losing yourself? Shin, but I made promises to never be who I was before. I made a promise to myself to take the hits as they come. It made me stronger. But now they are becoming your hindrance. It's keeping you back from moving forward. He turned again and saw Corvo standing behind him. Corvo, you've always wanted to fight back, but look at yourself. You chained yourself down thinking that finding out the truth would help you, but you've known the truth for a while now. He tried to reach out to him, but his arms were forced down. He looked to his sides and saw the chains holding him in place. He tried pulling the chains, but they weren't budging. He looked at Corvo in front of him, but he turned his back and he faded away, and he already knew to turn around, and he saw Catherine standing behind him. Catherine, you've known for a while now. The whole reason we did everything wasn't to guide you, it was to tell you what to do next. It wasn't a plan of ours where we wanted you two to go on this journey halfway around the world just to think it was part of the plan, did you? He looked down disappointed, realizing they were right. Shin, no, it wasn't. It was to let Akari and I start and make our own story in life. You guys hoped that by the time we would go looking for everything, we would be long past the days of worrying about our enemy, but that wasn't it. You know, my child, that wasn't the intention, not in the slightest. He looked up and saw Mickey standing in front of him with the box he found at the house. Tears formed in his eyes. He wanted to run and hug her tightly, but he couldn't. The weight of the chains made him fall to his knees, and the void around him started consuming his legs. Mickey, you've known this was unlocked a while ago. It was unlocked back when you found the sword, yet you never said anything to Akari or even opened it. Why is that? Shin, I don't know. With everything going on, it didn't seem like the best choice to make. What if what's in there would make things different again when they started feeling semi-normal? All figures appeared in front of him, and Mickey handed him the box. Mickey, I think it's time to open it, sweetheart. He looked at the box, took a deep breath, and forced himself to open the box. Opened the box, and a large fire burst out of it, creating a tornado of flames. When it died down, he couldn't believe who was in front of him. Shin, Dad. He ran to him and hugged him, and Kendrick hugged him back. Kendrick, you've grown, my child. Look how strong you've become. Mickey, Corvo, and Kathy raised you well. Smiles. Shin, tearing up, Dad. Kendrick, relax, kid. It's all right. I know it's a lot on your brain right now. Relax a bit. Shin, tearing up, how can I do that when Akari and Irina were taken away? I need to get them back. Kendrick, you really think they would get hurt? One's a wind dragon, for crying out loud. She'll heal. She's always been a fast healer. She wouldn't hold it against you if she got a few cuts and bruises, that much I can guarantee. Shin, but what now that evil dragon outpowered me? Kendrick, laughing, outpowered you? Laughing more? You got all up in your head, dumbass. You have been limiting yourself, thinking you can't go past that line you've been placing in front of yourself from when you were a devil. You haven't noticed it, but that line is your downfall. Shin, confused. What? Kendrick, do you want to know why we were so revered before they killed us? Shin, yes. Kendrick, the Dragon Clan has limitless power potential. We have no limit after that attack where you thought that was your best, wasn't? You placed that line in front of you when you were a devil. That line was placed in front of you, and each time you used a fraction of your power, you kept pushing that line back. You have the limitless potential along with your power to make monarchs of your own. Like you made your little friend, you can do it all. Shin, but how I don't have the Book of Hyoudou. Kendrick, you're looking at it all wrong, kid. Again, you're not thinking. Tell me, what is the power of Ventus? Shin, wind. Kendrick, what you need is the Book of Pyrrhus. The Hyoudou are masters of fire. That evil dragon is in over his head, and the same goes for the power of terra, aqua, darkness, and light. That book will show you everything you need to know for each house. You and Akari have this in the bag. You two can bring back the dragon clan and kill off the devil faction. Their greed has always been their downfall. Runa's mentioned it before. We just didn't think they would come so soon. That was my fault. I was arrogant. I welcomed the fight, and look, your mother and Akari mother died, and the other families, because I was a bad leader. Shin, what was Icarus's father like? Kendrick, you mean Vincent? Oh, that jackass was the master of terra, like I was fire. Your mother Kyoyuko was the master of water, Sara was the master of wind, and Corvo the master of darkness, and Eva the master of light. Shin, can I learn the other elements? Kendrick, why would you want to? Shin, I'd like my kids to at least have the chance to learn the other elements to grow back to full strength. Kendrick, there's no need now. Remember what I said. There is no line. You're the master of fire. Now use it. Now tell me, who are you? Shin, I am Shin, Issei Hyoudou, son of the master of fire and water, married to the daughter of the masters of wind and earth. Kendrick, and Shin, I am the Dragon King. Kendrick, I am sorry, I didn't hear that. You're weak. What? Shin, I am the fucking Dragon King. The world around him caught ablaze. He could feel the power flowing through his body. He felt his injuries going away, and the chains holding him down started burning away. Kendrick, now go get your mates. Show that fucker what it means to touch another dragon's mates. Shin nodded, and he could feel himself waking up. He opened his eyes and saw everyone around him. He was happy to see them again, but he needed to make a mark first. He jumped up and ran outside and then burst off, creating a portal. As he went through the portal, it made it stay open so the others could come to watch him end the devil faction. As he landed, he saw the Devil Elder Council. He took a deep breath and set off a massive explosion, breaking the walls of the building and causing all the guards to charge him. But he used his Zeton and broke all their backs and carried on running. He burst through the door and held all the Devil Elders against the wall. Shin, where are they? His fire was spreading, and the grasp he had on them was slowly burning them. He made his way through the building and killed anything in front of him. He made his way to the main room where all the elders sat. Elder 1, he was right about you. Wouldn't be a fit for the Devil Clan. Shin, you still don't realize your little stunt just pissed me off more. Now I'm going to ask one more time, where are they? Elder 4, like we will tell you, dragon scum. They all started charging up their attacks. Shin looked at the power level they were, and they were around mid-class compared to him. Shin, deep breath, so be it. He raised his arms and let his Zeton take full control. Black horns grew out of his head. The black scales grew out of his arms, and scales covered his arms, and red lighting began sparking off his body. They all started floating in the air. They all looked at him, realizing how badly they messed up, and he broke all their necks and ripped off their heads. He then raised his arm and used his fire and Zeton fused together and burst through the In the basement. Both Akari and Irina were chained up against the wall, both bloody and beaten, both their faces swollen from the beatings. Crom, come on ladies, I didn't kill your boyfriend for nothing. Now tell me where you've hidden the scroll and all will be fine and you can be with him in the afterlife. He grabbed Akari by the neck and raised her into the air. Akari, in pain, eat shit. She spat her blood into his face and smiled. He tossed her up and hit her down to the ground again. Pain spread through her body. She knew Shin was going to kill him. It was just a matter of time. Irina, in pain, we won't tell you anything, you fake dragon. Shin is more of a dragon than you'll ever be. Corm's laughing, don't make me laugh, little monarch. You're hardly getting used to your light abilities, yet you speak such bullshit. I killed that little shit, he's not coming. Akari, in pain, we all know that's bullshit. Both were stalling for time, but Crom was getting more aggressive with his attacks on them. They felt the building begin to shake, and all looked at each other. Crom, confused, that's weird, is the Crimson Devil doing something again? The floor above them caved in, and Issei, covered in scales and lighting, stood in the center of the room, but his power levels were off the charts. They realized that he was pissed and even stronger. Before Crom even had a chance to react, Shin had grabbed him by the neck and let his claws sink into his neck, causing him to bleed. He looked back at the girls who were shedding tears that he came for them. Crom, I'm impressed you managed to survive, but you won't survive this. He started turning into a dragon and Shin did the same, but he used his Zeton to pull both Irina and Akari towards him, and to keep them out of more harm's way as the two dragons grew in some serious size bigger than anything Riscord. Topside. Sirzechs and the others came through the portal to only see the massacre that Shin left behind. They ran into the building. They could feel his power spread around the whole area, and it had an angry feeling, almost making them feel uncomfortable. Saji, holy crap, he's mad. Sona, no kidding, some of these guards would give us some trouble. How strong did he get? As they came to the main room where the elders sat, they saw a massive hole in the ground with all the elders dead on the ground. There were burn marks all over the walls and his claw marks covering almost all the walls from his attacks. Seraphal, shocked, he did it, he killed them. Riaz, that's not the end of it, look. They looked where she was looking and saw the two massive dragons growing below them. Azazel, we should get out of here now. They nodded and ran out, and the two dragons burst out of the ground, destroying everything around them. As they both roared, lightning struck everything around them, and their auras were either burning everything or forcing it back with their roars. Whoa. They watched as an injured Akari and Irina came closer to them and gently placed on the ground. Akari in pain, hi, everyone coughs out blood. Irina in pain, please get us some help. Riaz, let's leave them be, we can't do anything about that, but what we can do is get them both some medical help. Sirzechs, right. They helped both the girls and took them through the portal, and they watched it close behind them as the two dragons rolled around fighting each other. Hancock, worried, where's Shin? Sirzechs, handling a loose end, but these two need some serious help now. Grafia, place them here. Both were placed on the beds and all the women came closer to help them. As they were healing and treating them, the sky turned red and they watched as Crom came through the portal with Shin forcing him through it. Those that couldn't help being stood watching the fight between two dragons, with each collision causing a massive shockwave. Shin used his tail and sent it through Corm's neck, making him scream in pain that he turned back into a human form. Shin then grabbed both his arms and rode him towards the ground, adding fire to add more damage to him. The two hit the ground with a massive explosion that shook the whole island. They ran to the impact zone and saw Shin covered in blood, holding both Corm's arms in his hands, and under his feet was the splattered body of the dead dragon. He took a deep breath and roared into the sky, sending a large beam of fire into the sky. As he stopped, he took a deep breath, dropped the scales, and passed out. The others quickly ran towards him to bring him to get some help. As they brought him back, they started cleaning off his body, but they saw he was already healed but sleeping. Azazel, I think he burst through his energy faster than he thought. Gasper, he was so cool. Sirzechs, how are they? Aquino, they okay. Akari is already healing well, she's healing faster than Irina, but both will make a full recovery. Hancock, everyone get the food ready for when Shin and the others wake up. We will have a banquet for when he and the others are fully recovered. The women of the island all quickly ran to get things ready. Milika's excited, Ide mama ite. They watched as he pointed towards Shin jumping in his mother's arms. Grafia let him take a few steps towards him and helped him up onto the bed. They watched as the small child got comfy on his chest and fell asleep. Kiba, looks like he missed him a lot. Sirzechs, no kidding, he normally takes forever to go to sleep. Riaz, I think let's just the rest. Azazel, hey guys, I don't think we can go back to that side of the underworld. Saji, what do you mean, old man? They looked concerned. He's normally one to make light of the problem, but this time it's different. Azazel, look at this, I'm getting alerts of all of our faces wanted for treason against the devil faction. Sirzechs and Seraphal were revoked of their devil king ranking. They want us all dead. Sirzechs, confused, but he started getting messages from the helpers saying that Ajuka had taken the role of the main devil king for the time being, and he's ordered all of your deaths and rallying a lot of devils to fight against them. Sirzechs, looks like Ajuka was a double agent. He's taken the lead of the devil faction. The brigade must have planned this from the start, but how are they so far ahead? Serafal, well, as long as we have our family with us, we are all right. They can't come hurt us if we have the important ones with us. Sirzechs, that's right. Kaneko, then where do we go from here? They all looked worried. All of them were just involuntarily banished. Runa's, well then I suppose I tell you about that deal I made with Shin's father. They looked at her sitting near Shin. Run, he said, when he's back in power he will carry out the promise, and you just saw the Dragon King use maybe 10% of his power, but the deal I wanted to make was to allow my family to live and become part of the Dragon Clan by marrying his son to my great-great-great-granddaughter, which is Ria's. They were all shocked that she even managed to get a deal like that to happen. Ria's, so either way. Ranes, yes, you two were meant to be together. They looked at Shin sleeping with Milica's on his chest. Back in the void, Shin found himself in the void again. Shin, Dad. He was excited to tell his father about his win. He turned around a few times looking for him, but he was nowhere to be seen. He's not here, sadly. It's my turn before we both become nothingness. This time it was a woman's voice. It was soft yet gentle, but also familiar. As he turned around, he saw his birth mother. He ran to her and hugged her. Shin, I don't care how long I have. I'm happy to have met both of you again. Kyoyuko, it is, darling, you've grown up so much. I am sad I didn't get to see you grow up to be the man you became. I wish I had more time with you. Shin, so do I. Same with Dad, Guro, and Mickey. They gave me a happy but simple life. I'm grateful you left me in their care. I couldn't have been happier. With the same with Catherine. I do feel bad that I won't get to see them again, but if I could, then I'd like to thank you. Then why not, my child? He turned around and saw all three of them standing with smiles on their faces. He ran to hug them. Shin, thank you for everything. I mean it. I know I was spoiled little shit, and you were all doing what's best for me, but thank you for raising me and Akari. Mickey, it's all right, my child. We passed on a while ago. We thought to add a bit of our souls into the box alongside Lord Kendrick and Kyoyuko, but it was just for this moment. Goryuo, I know we weren't the best parents to you, but you still gave us the feeling of being parents. We have to thank you for that. Catherine, I'm just happy to see you helped Akari learn about her powers and how to handle them. I know she could have been a handful when you first met her. Shin, don't you know it? She hit me over the head with your broom and broke the skin. All four adults couldn't help but laugh since they were pretty much the same even when their memories were wiped. Kyoyuko, I'm happy to see how your life turned out. I couldn't have hoped for a better outcome. Sure, there were some moments where things could have been changed, but it made you stronger. Shin, that it did. Hey Mom, Dad, Granny, what did you guys leave for us on Amazon Lily? Catherine, how about that be a surprise for you and Akari to take on together? Shin, so be it. Now Mom, how long do I have with you? Kyoyuko, till you wake up, dear smiles. Shin, which isn't long. I could wake up at any minute, but I just wanted to ask about your water affinity. Kyoyuko, what about it? Shin, can I use it as well? He saw the smile on her face like he was right about something. Kyoyuko, smiling, how about you try and see, have some fun with the mystery. He smiled and hugged his mother, then pulled Mickey, Guro, and Catherine towards him, and they hugged him back. Shin, while I have you here, who killed you three? Catherine, the Chaos Brigade. We wanted revenge to throw them off your path, and the White Dragon and that evil dragon you killed attacked us and finished us off. We got them good. The Mickey took out his one eye before we were taken out for good. Shin, I'll be sure to rub it in his face that he couldn't beat my mother in a fight and had Crom help him. They chuckled again. Shin, hey, would Akari have something like this? I'm sure she would have liked to see something like this. Catherine, sadly not, but tell her to be a big girl and to pull up her big pants or the demons are going to make fun of her. Shell understand and know we watching over the two of you. Shin, for sure, it was nice seeing you all one last time. Smiles. They all smiled at him. All four, you did well. We are proud of you, Shin. The world turned white and he opened his eyes to Milica's on his chest, looking at him with a confused face. Shin, what's wrong, buddy? Milica's touched his face and saw his hand was wet. He touched his face and saw that he had shed a few tears in his sleep. He looked around and saw he was back on Amazon Lily. He put Milica's on his shoulder and flew into the air and looked where everyone was. He found them sitting around a massive fire with a lot of tables, all busy having some food. He stood on one of the roofs and watched them talking. Akino, so if Issei or Shin takes us and we going to stay on the Dragon Clan land? Runas, yes, once they were killed off, their castle completely fell off the map. I haven't been able to find it or even find some remnants of it. But yes, if he has a place for all of you and he agrees to the deal, then we would all move into the Dragon Clan. Sirzechs, you seem to have some second thoughts about that, Runas. Runas, the only way I was able to have this deal happen was to agree to forsake our devil abilities and ranks. Zona, wouldn't that kill us? Runas, no, look at that little missy over there. When she went with them, her evil piece stayed, and she went with, and now look at her, she was turned into what the Dragon Clan gives the subjects that will follow them even if they don't fight. It's why God didn't like them. Shin and Akari can turn you into something called a monarch, stronger than devils. Weaker than them, but still powerful. Arena over here has become one of these monarchs. There are other roles, but monarchs are the strongest. Riaz, which one did you choose? Irina, the monarch of light, someone who is meant to be a beacon of hope for everyone. Kaneko, that fried chicken is missing out here. Zenovia, you don't like her, do you? Kaneko, no, she's the same as me, small and cute. Shin only needs one of those types of people, and that's me. Shin couldn't help but laugh a bit at her statement. Milikas was also laughing with him. Azazel, well, I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm sure going back to any devil territory will be suicide, so does anyone have a plan we can follow? Sirzechs, for a change, I don't have one. Hancock, by any chance would you have one? Hancock, not particularly, it's a touchy subject, and I'm not informed enough to be giving suggestions that can have that big of an impact. Marigold, if it were for this side of the underworld, then we would have a lot, but for that side, we don't have much to offer besides a home for now. Venelana, perhaps once Shin wakes up and we apologize for our actions, then we can come up with a possible plan. Zeotics seems fair enough. Grafia, well, I wonder why he is sleeping for so long. Akari, I'm not sure if he's getting the same thing as I am, but I kind of have the feeling he's saying goodbye to someone. I think Granny, Mickey, and Guro came to him in his sleep. Saji, that's unheard of with dragons, but then again, you guys are the new standard, so I guess go with the flow, hey. He rested his arm around Sona, and she rested her head on his shoulder and held his hand. Sona, I'm just wondering where we go from here. We lost our status and rankings, something we used to get power and information over other. Riaz, well, power will still stay the same, but information we may need to move to some other ways of gaining information. Kiba, yeah, you're right. Jin took a deep breath and walked over to them. As he walked, the woman of the island started getting excited seeing him awake, and while the main group heard the excitement, and when they looked they saw Shin being swarmed by the children, he greeted all of them and walked closer. They all stood up in arena. Akari with Hancock and her sisters were the first to run and hug him, and even shed a few tears. He wiped their tears away and gave Akari, Irina, and Hancock a kiss on the lips, then a kiss on the cheek for Marigold and Sandersonia. They all smiled, then looked at the group in front of him. They didn't know how to react. So much time has passed. The last time they saw him, he was Issei. Now he's this different person. After a few moments of just looking at him, Venelana, Zeotics with Sirzechs and Grafia came running to him and hugged him. Sirzechs and even shed a few tears. Shin, damn, was I missed that much. I even got this man crying. Sirzechs, tearing up, shut up, you know how hard it was to not just let you go back then and being forced to rip the pieces out of you. I felt like shit that I was forced to do that to you. Shin, yay move, but it worked out well for me in the end though. Sirzechs, please find it in your heart to forgive us. Venelana, he's right, we built up trust and we threw it back in your face. Zeotics, as your parents, we should have known better and trusted the fact that you wouldn't have done anything like that. Grafia, and stood up for you in your time of need. Shin, thanks guys, but it's alright, I did kind of kill the rest of the elders a few hours ago, but I do forgive you all, but the trust we had you going to need to work on. I think you guys can work on that, yeah. They all shed a few tears, chuckled at him, and just hugged him again. Venelana, we promise to make it up to you. She kissed him on the cheek and gave him a tight, motherly hug, which he accepted. Serafal and Genshiru came closer and bowed toward him. Serafal, we're sorry for not hearing you out that day. We know an apology from us wouldn't mean much, but please find it in your heart to trust us again as allies and friends. Shin, raise your heads. I know Jen would have gotten in more trouble if he tried to help me, but I know you guys followed the leaders to a T, so there's that, but yay, it's fine. I don't have much against the rest of you guys. I know you would have been in more trouble for trying to help me. Sure, it hurt then, but things happen. Aquino and Kaneko were the first ones to reach him and hugged him tightly. Then Gasper, Zenoviva, and Kiba hugged him. Rosswace came and greeted him formally. Since the first time they met he was injured, and the second time they met she was drunk. Shin, holy crap, you can talk normally without slurring your words. She started blushing but couldn't help but start laughing with him, given it was true. This caused all of them to laugh, and Sona's peerage came to say sorry, then was the last person whose heart was racing, seeing how easily he forgave everyone. He walked closer to her and she tried to break eye contact, but once he was in front of her, she couldn't look away. He could see all the emotions trying to come out, but she couldn't get them out, which started making her cry. Shin pulled her into a hug and whispered into her ear. Shin, whisper, it's good to have you back in my arms. I missed you so much. I don't care if you had a miscarriage and you worried that I'll hate you for it. I'll love you no matter what. Unless you were with another man, then we going to have a few problems. This caused her to chuckle between her crying, and she shook her head. Ria's crying, no, you're the only man I want to spend my life with. Nothing will change that. I'm just happy you don't hate me. He wiped her tears and cupped her face. Shin, see, happy tears are always better than sad ones. He brought her closer and kissed her, and she stopped crying. When he pulled away, he gave her a tight hug and then brought her to the other girls. Shin, now Ria's, you may be my number 1, then Irina my number 3, and Hancock my number 4, but I'd like you to meet my number 2, everyone, my first wife, Issei Hyoudou, the wind dragon. Issei, hi, it's nice to meet you all properly this time. Smiles. They all smiled and greeted her. Ria's, you know they look the same, right? Both Issei and Irina, especially now Irina's hair is lighter too. Hancock, I wanted to say something, but I didn't know if should bring it up. Both Issei and Irina took their hair down from a ponytail and twin tails and then looked at Shin with their large puppy eyes. Both knew. Can you sing for us? Shin squinting, how about no, I am still tired, girls. Hancock and Ria's joined them, making him squint more. Aquino, Kaneko, and Zenoviva, along with the girls from the Sona peerage, joined them, hopping he would sing again. Shin defeated, fine. Kaneko #whipped. Shin, not you too. The woman heard he was going to hear him sing again, and they all put the stage together that was spread around the area. Once it was set up, he jumped onto the stage and started with his first song. https://youtube.b/pa5chxky50. When he was done, they all cheered for him. He then changed the tempo of the music playing and started a new song. https://youtube.b/g6ac-bez3qxg. They all started having fun. This song was easier to dance to, and whenever he hit the chorus, he would either dance with one of the girls, but he at least danced with all of them. After he sang, he quickly changed the song again and started. https://youtube.b/quij-m9r5ea. Using his fire to make fire lights around all of them as he sang and danced for all of them. This made Saji and Kiba jump onto the stage and dance with him. The whole mood of the whole island raised, feeling happy again. That night, Shin slept in Hancock's room with Ria's Issei, Irina, and Hancock herself, and everyone, for the first time in a long time, they all slept well. On the other side of the underworld. Perhaps you should have planned better, Ajika, to get rid of the brat. Now look, he's got the wind dragon and the monarch of light now. It's only a matter of time before he rebuilds that army of monarchs. Ajika, worry not, his power level hasn't changed much. He won't be a problem now. If you excuse me, sir, I need to go get control of the devil faction to fight for you. Go ahead. Volley, when do we get another chance to go and get some payback? He walked forward into the light, and the scar along his face was prominent enough to show that he had lost his eye. Soon, everything is falling into place. Nothing is going to stop us from gaining power over every supernatural being alive. The man stood up, walked to his balcony, and looked at the old Gremory territory up in flames. I love it when a plan comes together. In the Bale territory, Sire Arag was looking at the new wanted posters, and it concerned him that now both Sirzechs and Serafal were also wanted along with the rest of his family. He read the article, and it didn't surprise him. With a new face that looked like Issei's, he decided to do his own investigation to see what is going on. In the Phoenix territory, both Ravel and Riser, with their older brother Ruvel and parents, were reading the articles about how the whole Gremory family along with the whole Leviathan family is wanted along with the two Devil Kings, and a face that resembles Issei a lot. Ravel, you don't think? Riser plus Ruvel, he's alive. Lord Phoenix, if this article is true, then we have a bigger problem. The Dragon Clan is back, and all 72 pillars were involved with the mass murder that wiped them off the map. If this is the start of another war between the Devils and Dragon Clan, we need to decide who we are going to help, the Dragon Clan or the Devil Clan. Ravel, I think we know the obvious choice, don't you think? Lady Phoenix, couldn't have said it better myself, my child. In the overworld, the world felt somber and still. Everyone could feel the disturbance in nature alone. Nobody knew what was going on. It was a normal day, but they all could feel the change in the air, and it didn't sit well for a lot of people. In heaven, they could feel the changes, and since they had an alliance with the devils, they got their reports as well. When Michiel saw the man who looked like Issei and who all was involved, and now wanted, it was easy to put the pieces together. Along with Irina's father Tauji, who was surprised and concerned for his daughter, seeing her face there as well. In Grigori, all the fallen angels could feel the power unbalanced and saw the reports from the devil faction and knew Azazel was involved in one way. The leaders all decided to see what the Governor General had to say when and if they saw him. Elsewhere off the coast of Amazon Lily, on an island not too far away, Hull looks like a king has taken his rightful throne. Guess we were a bit late with that, but I guess they had things figured out before us. Faster too. Then let's go greet the new king before this old man decides to die on us. Chapter end. Season 1 end. Going to take a break from this story for a few months, then bring it back when I have a few things sorted out. Thanks for reading Season 1 so far, hope you enjoyed it. Season 2 Start Life 20 Assassin Desist. The next morning, Shin woke up feeling warm and cozy. He raised his head and saw 4 of his mates sleeping soundly around him. He was happy. Drake, I haven't seen you this happy in a while. Shin, yeah, my life seems to be coming back to me now the right way. Drake, I couldn't be more surprised, but I wanted to bring up something to you. Shin, lay it on me. Drake, in the world, there is always something keeping nature in balance, but things have tipped where the Devil faction and the Dragon faction have been raised so much that it caused a disturbance. I'm sure the overworld is experiencing something similar to what I'm feeling. Shin, I'm sure it will be fixed, but here's my question: what do we do about it besides win? I'm sure it's a state of balance that was once achieved before devils put it out of balance, and that chaos became the new balance. Drake, I'm not sure, but it is something I wanted to inform you and to remember to stay on your toes. If the White One killed your foster family, we have no idea if he's weaker or stronger. Shin, agreed, and since I took one of the pieces of the dividing gear, I feel like my version is stronger. Remember, he and I are different. Drake, till you figure out why Crom had Offai's power running through him. I believe that if Offai's has a hand in powering them up, we need to make sure our team and allies have the same power or equivalent. Shin, yay, Dad said the book will change depending on the family, but how do we get it to work for us? Drake, I am unclear. How about today you try and figure it out? Shin, As he did that, the girls slowly started waking up. As they looked at him, they smiled and gave him a kiss. Shin, morning, girls. Girls, morning. Shin smiles. He sat up and they got comfy around him. Shin, how did you all sleep? Ria's best sleep I've had in a year. Hancock, same with me. Irina plus Akari, pretty much the same. Shin just smiled at all of them. Ria's, what's got you in a good mood this morning? Shin, just to be back here with all of you and to know you're all safe. Akari, boohoo, you know we going to be safe no matter what, you know we aren't weak. Shin chuckles, I know, now Hancock, mind telling me about that statue? Hancock, light blush, oh well, you see, after you left we all missed you dearly, so I had it put together so everyone can remember all the good you did for us. Shin, cute, gives peck. Now girls, today is going to be a weird one. Irina, how come? Shin, I met my birth parents along with my foster parents. They were all shocked to hear this from him. Akari, what did they say? Shin, nothing really, besides the fact that we have the only book we need, and Ventus wasn't your mother's family name, it's her affinity that you have. I'm Pyrus. Then we have light darkness, Aqua, and Terra. Your father had the Terra affinity. Akari, I see, but that doesn't explain what that book has to do with anything. Shin, my dear, it's the only book that changes elements based on whatever it needs to change it. Riaz, if that's the case, how do you change it? You mentioned 6 elements, how do you know if it changed? Shin, that's the plan for today then. I think we can also deal with the whole reason we came back to Amazon Lily. Hancock, I meant to ask, what are you looking for? Shin, I think it's below the statue in the center of town. The paintings depict something at the center of the volcano. He showed her the pictures and they were all confused. Hancock, well, go ahead, I'll have my people move the statue so we can work. Shin, great, that makes life easier, Akari, and I will deal with the book to turn our stray devils into monarchs. Irina, what about me, what can I do? Shin, relax with everyone, but then again you have the light affinity now, so I suppose that maybe you saw the spell for light affinity. Irina, okay then, I'll be around if you need me. It's an island, we not going anywhere, and it's not like we can go anywhere right now. Shin, alright, let's go and get sorted for the day. Shin and Akari quickly got up and went to go deal with the Book of Elements, and the others went with Hancock and started getting things ready for the move. The rest of the group came to see what they doing. Azazel, hey everyone, what's going on? Why are you moving the statue? Hancock, there's something below the land we walk for Shin and Akari to find, so we are moving this out of the way so when they come and do their work, it's not in the way. Sirzechs, fair, but here's another question, where are they? Riaz, oh, I can answer that they are busy trying to figure out how to see the other elements of their book to turn us into monarchs like Irina. Aquino, how about we decide which element we wish to join? Irina, oh, that's simple, there are various roles for each faction, so you might not be able to pick till you see what is available to you. I think that's how it works. Kaneko, what do you mean? Irina, and they show you the book, you can't read anything but the options that would be suited to you. There were 3 options for me, and being a light monarch was one of them. The other was something called a starlight knight. And the third option was called a bringer of light. Only when I picked the monarch of light was I told what they do, which is to guide people to their destiny. The bonus of some of the most powerful light magic I've ever seen or used. Best you could do right now is pick your element, and hope there's some. Saji, I think I'm going to pick darkness. Sona, that suits you, but here's my question, do you have to submit to the leader of that element? Irina, no, it is the basic powers and abilities that are given to the followers of the Dragon Clan. Think of it like they are the source and we are blessed with the abilities from it, and it stems down. Sirzechs, if that's how it runs, then it would be weird, don't you think, just having freedom, mostly, but then we pretty much need to follow Shin into battle when he needs us. Irina, pretty much, but I do think you get training from said user. Shin has an off chance of being able to use fire and water, which in turn leads to ice. Both Seraphal and Sona looked at each other and then back at her. Seraphal, if that's the case, I suppose I won't lose most of my abilities. Sona, same. Graphia, as of I. Sirzechs, it's weird when you think about it, this power of destruction isn't fire or darkness. Riaz, Irina, you got to pick light because when you had the Excalibur mimic, you were able to channel light at that point, right? Irina, yes. Riaz, then I guess it works as if you had an affinity for light. It showed you light options, so even if we do pick, then it would still show us what would be best for us. Irina, not sure, I am still on catch, so are they. When I was taken in, there was no plan to my knowledge. Shin is taking the punches as they come. Sirzechs, then it's settled. When they figure it out, then we can pick. Sona, suppose there isn't any other choice. Devils, interesting. They all froze and saw 4 people that scared them. With Shin a few minutes earlier. Shin, okay, now how are we going to deal with this? He placed the book down and again he could read the different things he could create, but it wasn't toward him or Akari, it was more in a general sense. Akari, what do you think? I mean, there's a monarch again, thought it was just monarchs alone, not a whole army of beings, but it's not too light, Ventus or Pyrrhus. Shin, perhaps it needs to be charged with our energy. He touched the book and indeed it changed from green accents to red ones, and this time a fire symbol appeared on the cover. Shin, it worked. Akari, it looks like new, maybe that did do something. He opened the book and to his surprise, it was more information on the Hyoudous and how the Pyrrhus affinity works similarly to Ventus. Shin, for what it's worth, I think I got it. Akari, then let's test that theory. She touched the book and let her power flow into the book and it changed again. This time the Ventus book looked new and looked like it was in better condition, and the symbol appeared showing the change of the affinity and element. Akari, you think this could be how we could change the element, but here's what's confusing. I made Irina a light monarch. If I'm wind, then how the hell did I get that right? Shin, I was thinking about it now. Do you think that any of us can use this book and make the other elements happen through our abilities? Akari, not sure. This is a first, and this is pretty advanced magic too. I'm just getting used to basic magic. Shin, then look at it like this. The book reacts to our powers and affinity, giving us the backstory to both the element or affinity and the main family that mastered it. Akari, okay, if that's the case and you believe that we can use our other parents' abilities, then you think we could look into the other families, but we still missing 2 out of the 6. Shin, that's what I'm worried about. Just then, a feeling of strong energy appeared on the island, and Shin, blood ran cold. Akari felt the uneasiness coming from the energy they felt. He grabbed her, and the book then bolted down to the others, getting ready to kill anyone that dared step foot on the island. As he reached them, he saw them just talking to a group of 4 people where he traced the energy to. Hancock, well, here he is. He looked at her confused, and then the 4 were 3 girls and 1 older man. They walked closer, and the old man spoke first. Laughing, he is Kendrick's son. Bring it in, brat, and greet your uncle. Everyone, huh? Laughing, oh boy, I guess you haven't found anything like that yet, but I doubt you would. I am Corvo Hyoudou *, grins Dragon of Darkness. He spread his power around the whole island, and Shin countered it, both of them using Zetan to try and push their auras around the whole island. Everyone felt the uneasiness and dread coming from the 2, even Sirzechs Serafal, and Azazel could feel the difference in power. If anything, they were weak compared to them. Shin remembered what his father told him and stopped holding back, and his aura spread around everyone, turning everything red. They watched as Corvo tried to spread his aura, but he could hardly spread it around himself. Shin, serious, you better watch your tongue speaking about my family. Corvo, indeed I am your family, brat, and so is the blondie over here. Now then, if you drop your aura and Zetan, then maybe you can let me explain your little shit. Shin, drawing it back, fine. Sayuri, how did he get this strong, old man? Corvo, like I told you girls, a king will always outpower the rest of his family. Like I outpowered all of you, he outpowered me. Shows he's the true king of the dragon clan. Now what did I tell you to do? They all blushed and started pouting, then they all stood next to him, and the 4 kneeled, bowing their heads. All 4, greetings Dragon King, it's a pleasure to meet you. The mood was weird and no one knew what to think. Shin, that's great and all, but who the hell are you guys? Corvo, like I said, brats, your uncle Kendrick and I are fraternal twins. He took after father and I took after mother, hence the power difference. Minami, I am Minami Fayuki. I have an aqua affinity. Your mother and mine were cousins. Myra, I am Myra Zephyr. I have the Terra affinity. I'm Icarus's cousin. Sayuri, I am Sayuri Aquino. I have a light affinity. I don't have a relation to you guys besides the fact I'm the light dragon. Corvo, and that's it. Shin, how did you guys survive? Our guardians died thinking we were the last. Corvo, it happened 18 years ago, kid. We were in the middle of the mating season, our weakest season. But let me start with this. See, each of you little shits is roughly the same age. Shin, 18. Akari, Minami, Myra, and Sayuri are all turning 17 this year now. And when each of you is born, you're examined to see who gained the gene to be the next king. It's a special gene that removes your limiters on your powers, which makes you dangerous. It's normally seen and picked upon birth, and only one can have it. So when Shin was born, we already knew he was going to be the king, and one of the girls that came next would be his wife. Now then, the night of the attack, we didn't see it coming. Flashback. With Kendrick and Corvo sitting at a table busy eating food. Corvo, Shin seems to get along well with Akari. Kendrick, indeed, but now we waiting on you to bring a child into the world. You're the only one without a successor to the affinity. Corvo, I know, but with the tensions rising between us and the devils are troublesome. In recent times, they have gathered all 72 of their pillars, including Runa's family. Kendrick, our deal only applied to her great-great-great-great-granddaughter. If she has one else, it's a simple alliance where the current family joins our family and forsakes their devil abilities to become our monarchs. Corvo, indeed, that deal should still deal with it. I've checked, her granddaughter has been born recently too, around the same time as the girls. Kendrick, then Runa's decided when I'm not forcing the matter because it's not something we need to worry about now. And plus we dragons, they can't hurt us even if they tried. Corvo, still I don't like living like this, worried for the young and my family. Kendrick, PSHHH, I'll kick their ass. Just then a veil went over the whole kingdom, and within seconds Kendrick, Corvo, Vincent, Kyoyuko, Ava and Sara all came out and got ready to fight. They defended the land, but something changed. There was an evil dragon that started attacking them. Kendrick forced Kyoyuko and Sara back to get Shin out of there to protect them. Corvo, brother, I'll try and get the others out of here to make sure they live. Kendrick, go for it. I'm not making it out of here. I just lost the others' traces. We the only ones left. Go, I'll distract that son of a bitch. He nodded and found each of the girls either under burnt rubble or about to be attacked. He used his shadows to move and take them without getting hurt, and as he left he heard Kendrick's last roar before he was killed. Corvo looked down at the little girls and he took them to a safe place in the underworld. Once there he attempted to heal the girls. It was a slow and gradual process, but soon they were okay, but still sad. He proceeded to train them in fighting and using their powers the way they were meant to be granted. It was difficult without the book. Flashback end. Corvo, I didn't have that book that could have helped them. To be fair, looking at Akari, they are possibly weaker than her now because you've been training her. Shin, yeah, how long have you guys been on the move? Minami, about 6 months. We saw your photos in the newspapers. We knew to come find you guys. Didn't expect you to be chummy with one of the world's most dangerous yet most beautiful women this side of the underworld. Shin, yeah, she's my princess. Hancock started smiling and blushing and swaying side to side. Shin, anyways, Corvo, how far along are they then? Corvo, basic fighting. I'm old now. I don't have much in me to keep fighting. Myra, he's right. In the past year he's been getting slower and slower. We even teased him about needing to have a child, yet he's still being too stubborn. Isn't that right, old man? Corvo, don't call me that. I just need a successor to pass down my alibis to. It's better for me. I've long past needing mating season anymore. Irina, sir, I could heal you to at least make you more comfortable. He looked at her and he started screaming in fear. Corvo, how are there two Akaris? Shin, uncle, she's one of my mates, and trust me, I know what you thinking. Sayuri seems like she's one of my followers, but I don't know what I'm doing with my light yet. Shin, okay, look, here's the thing. I kind of figured out the book to allow us to turn those around us into not just monarchs for each affinity, but more beings to be part of the army, but I don't know how to see what I can turn them into. Corvo, the book shows them what is suited to them, not what we think is suited for them. Shin, I had a feeling. Corvo, you have a lot to learn, boy. Watch as a master of an affinity does it. He looked at Kiba and Saji and grabbed Saji. Saji, hey, wait, why me? Corvo, you have a dragon of darkness, brat. You'll make the perfect example. He chucked Saji in the middle of the group and then let his shadow surround Saji. Saji, what the hell, man, you could have just asked me to move. He tried walking but couldn't get out. Saji panicked, hey, wait, let me go. He tried hitting on the barrier but couldn't make it move. Corvo, this isn't a pleasant procedure, but you are an interesting one, a poison dragon, very interesting. Zona, hey, let him go. Corvo, I don't think I will, but let's remove that limitation. Oh, he's going to need that. I suppose I'll give him access to Zetn as well. Now then that you are going to be my replacement, after I am done training you, I am going to give you a large energy limited too. Saji. Shin, I am the same, Corvo, I am editing his everything, making him the perfect suitor to replace me. Shin, how? Corvo, think of it as creating a game character, removing the weaknesses and leveling them up. Now watch from the depths of the void. His shadows started spreading around Saji and he could feel something dangerous coming towards him, and the others could only watch with concerned faces. Corvo, a creature of darkness, a monster of the shadows. Bring forth the power of darkness, cover the world in your shadow and be reborn as a shadow dragon. As he finished the chant, the shadows started running up Saji's body and he started screaming in pain. They watched as his body was being torn apart and then slowly being put back together. Sona covered her face, not wanting to see him being hurt like this. When it was finished, they could feel a whole different power coming from Saji. As the shadows dissipated and he was covered in his new scales and horns, he was bigger too. Sage, catching breath, well, this feels amazing. Viritra, indeed we have been reborn better than before. Asterisk laughs. Azazel, he even rebuilt Viritra the Dragon King. Corvo, indeed I did. Couldn't have my successor being limited by anything, and I killed off his devil side and human side, making him fully a dragon. Shin, yeah, his power is off the charts from before he's made a change. Sona walked to him with a worried look. Sona, you okay? He didn't say anything and just grabbed her and brought her into a kiss, and all she could do was blush, making her peerage giggle at her. Serafal, hee oh my, how bold. Sirzechs, question, is there a way to not make it work? I don't want my child to suffer. Corvo looked at him and smiled. Corvo, indeed the chants don't hurt children, in fact does the opposite and makes them laugh. Grafia, good. She started snuggling him and he giggled. Shin, okay, who wants to go next while we are at it? He looked and saw Aquino and Riaz walk towards him. Riaz, I trust you, I don't mind getting hurt if it means I can be with you. Aquino, I am the same, don't forget I claimed I'd be your second wife, asterisk smiles, but even being a fifth wouldn't be too bad, smiles. Shin, you still on that, huh? She smiled and nodded. Shin, we can deal with it later, and Akari, Irina, don't you say a thing, you three as well, I can see you smiling. The others looked and they saw Akari, Irina, Minami, Sayuri and Myra giggling at him. Hancock, so another woman has entered the battlefield. Irina, I wouldn't think battlefield though. Hancock, still am watching her. Shin, okay then let's see what would be best sorted for you all. He brought out the book and this time it was red with a Pyrrhus symbol on it. He opened the book and let them see and pick. Riaz, I can pick between a Flame Empress, a Fire Mage and a Flame Knight. I think I like the Flame Empress one. Aquino, interesting, it looks like I am going to be a wind user like Akari. I only have the option to become a Wind Monarch. Akari, right, I am up them. Shin, let me go first, let's see if I can do this. Arise from the ashes, feel the fire in your bones, become an Empress of the Flame, and burn your enemies for you, King. Fire spread around her and she screamed in pain as her body was changing. They watched as her evil piece was forced out of her, and her devil power was expelled from her body, and once it was done, she was on her knees with smoke coming off her body. Shin, you okay? Riaz, tired, yay, I am just tired, I think I need to rest, that took more out of me than I thought. He nodded and helped her up. Shin, Akari. Akari, Wind Monarch, huh? Feel the breeze under your wings, the feeling of freedom as the wind carries you towards the battle and becomes a body of wind that carries a hurricane. As she finished the chant, a tornado swirled around her and she started giggling from the pain while her devil and fallen side were removed from her body. Shin, sweat drop, I forgot she's like this. Corvo, interesting selection of mates, Shin. Shin, sweat drop, right. When the transformation was done, she looked different. Her hair was slightly lighter, but still kept its natural flow. Shin, yup, she's a wind user, all right, let's see where the rest of you are. Sayuri, so I have my monarch already. Irina, that's right, smiles. Corvo, only the best suited person can be a monarch. It has nothing to do with their power level or something like that, it has to do with the person. Shin, then let's move on. He did the rest of the Gremory family along with Kiba, and they all became Pyrrhus members, which gets categorized as fighters, archers, and tanks. Sirzechs, on the other hand, was Shin's Flame Monarch, and Kiba became a Pyrrhus Black Knight. With Gasper, Momo, Tomo, and Azazel becoming Ventus members, Gasper, Momo, and Tomo became Ventus members, and Azazel was made a Ventus Monarch. With Sona, Serafal, and Grafia, they joined Aqua, and both Serafal and Grafia became Ice Queens while Sona was made the Aqua Monarch. Then Roswace and Zenovia joined Light. Zenovia became a Light Slayer, and Roswace became a role called Starlight. Then finally Kaneko was added to the Terra Affinity, and she was made a member. And Saji joined the Darkness Affinity. Shin, right, so let me get this right, members are general fighters, take on roles such as arches and scouts. Akari, seems like it, and then Slayers are the tanks of the elements, stronger than being a member, sure, but more capable. Minami, and then we get our special ones like my Ice Queens, Shin's Black Knight, Sayuri's Starlight. Sayuri, okay then what the hell are these? They look like generals. Oh wait, those are the monarchs, so they are our generals then. Myra plopped herself over Shin's head and pointed at one that made them all look confused. All confused, what the hell is that monster? They were like children reading a comic book for the first time while the others watched them. Corvo, disappointed, everyone, I give you the savers of the underworld. Sirzechs, I suppose it couldn't be that bad, can it? Corvo, no, it just makes me worry again, they are all just like their parents. Riaz, so what do we do from now on? I mean, it's weird thinking neither of us are devil or a fallen angel. Azazel, I don't care if this forfeited my rank as a fallen angel, but now I am a general of a whole affinity. I wonder what we can do. Corvo, here's my next worry. My successor isn't going to be a problem. I'll train him, but you guys need to rely on them to help you with your affinity. Seraphal, I see your concern, but I mean, how bad can it be? Corvo, Shin needs to train them more to train you. Sirzechs, Sweatdrop, this is going to be a long war, I can see it. Sona, well, I suppose to go with the flow, don't you think? In the overworld, since the arrival of new monarchs and all the dragon family heads are together again, nature has changed drastically again. Something that hasn't happened in 18 years is starting again. Everywhere on every news feed, it was all the same reports of a massive storm that would cover the whole world for 9 days would soon happen again. Kade's hut last happened when we were born. Akya, I wonder what is going on though since Issei left and then soon after Riaz and the others graduated. Things have been weird. I mean, even with Sona gone, things have been weird, don't you think? Murima, yeah, well, I can only hope it all turns out okay. In the Underworld, Adjuka, you see these things, Sirzechs and Seraphal help these people, bring these people back into power. I need your support to help us take them down and restore balance to the Underworld. In the background, Biko, don't you think he's milking it a bit too hard? Volley came into the light with an eye patch covering his right eye. Volley, not in particular, they don't have enough forces to deal with this many devils, and I'm sure Heaven's Gate is staying out of it, so are the gods and fallen. Koroka, don't be mistaken, we don't know that for sure. Volley. Lefe Suo, what are we doing after this? She swung her legs back and forth, looking at Volley with a smile on her face. Volley, kill the son of a bitch, that much ill make happen. He walked away while the rest of his team looked at him, concerned. Biko, I know I am thinking it right. Koroka, yea, his grandfather has plagued his mind and changed his sense of judgment. I don't know if you noticed, but none of the other 72 pillars are really reacting, yet most notably the Bale family. He had a relation to the Gremory family, so he's conflicted as of right now. Go against a family or stand for what right? Biko, but sir, with everything going on, is trying to get this many people together a good idea? This could backfire. The old man grabbed him by his neck and brought him close. Don't question my plan, you will only survive because I let you, okay, not because I enjoy your company or this group's company, so keep it shut and wait for your next orders. He threw him aside and walked away. Biko, I think we need to come to a decision before something we don't want happening happen. They all nodded. Back at Amazon Lily. Shin, all right, so this is the next step of the plan so far. Akari, are you sure you would survive going that deep down into the lava? Sirzechs, she's right. Shin, how do we know that it's still even there? Shin, hope is why now wait here. He dived into the hole, hit the lava, and went swimming. Corvo, they have the scroll with them already now. If what I think is down there, then it might just be possible. Brother, you have one hell of a kid, makes me jealous. I don't have my own, but I'll guide this one best I can. Chapter End. Life 21, The Last Clue. As Shin dived into the dead volcano, he fell for a bit and then hit some leftover lava in the dormant volcano. Shin, weird that I can see so well though. He looked at his hands and saw he was covered in a dense layer of scales surrounding his body. Daydrag, well, fire dragons are known to live in volcanoes and swim in lava-like water, so get used to it. Shin's noted. Now then, what I'm looking for. He looked around the orange area where he was and looked for anything, symbols, books, items, anything possible to help him. He even moved rocks to see if anything was left underneath it. After 3 hours of swimming, he found nothing. He sat in the lava and decided just to try and relax. Maybe he's missing something. Shin, come on, I know they wouldn't have just left it like that and made me dive into the volcano for nothing. He landed at the bottom and stood looking up, trying to see if there was anything on the roof of the volcano. Shin, nope, nothing. As he started to put more pressure on his feet to jump straight up, but the ground collapsed underneath him and the whole floor caved in and pulled him down as all the lava started rushing below. He tried swimming up but felt the pressure change and then just let the lava take him. As he fell down deeper into the volcano, he stuck his head out of the lava fall and saw massive columns holding up the whole structure. Shin, what the hell? He pulled himself out of the lava fall and looked around and saw multiple markings from the dragon clan littering the walls of the cavern, showing the pirates' affinity to be in this area. Shin, looks like they left a lot for us then. He carried on going lower and lower till he found a massive cavern under the island with a pedestal of a Pyrus emblem, Ventus emblem, Aqua emblem, Light emblem, Terra emblem, and Darkness emblem. He walked around it looking for any other clues, and he didn't find any but the pedestal in the center. Shin, well, here goes nothing. He placed his hand over it, and it was like everything hit him all at once, and he could see the generation line of his Pyrus heritage. Flashback 1,000 years. Shin found himself walking around a small village treating an injured dragon. It was massive and different from Great Red, but it was clear this was his family. The brown hair and golden eyes said it all. He watched as they nursed the dragon back to health, and it blessed them with a bit of its power, and lived with them. Then when the dragon died a few years later, the people who treated it were blessed with the rest of its power, and soon became the Pyrus clan, or better known as the Hyoudou. He saw a leader take one of the skeleton's teeth of thee and raise it into the air, and that was the start of the dragon clan. It jumped forward with different scenes of the village where they started becoming more plentiful and rich. Then the other families slowly started growing, adapting to the other elements and keeping general peace within the elemental range. They were the source of most of the elemental power and kept it that way. He saw many devils powerless and unable to use magic like they can now. The angles and fallen angles were much stronger than the devils. They were the weakest. He saw many times where the devils tried to take advantage, trying to look stronger, but the dragon clan didn't let them have the time of day. He saw Runa make her appearance in her younger days, and to his surprise, his grandfather took a good liking to her. She was different from the rest of the devils. He saw his god with his angels. He saw young Azazel and Michael visit them, and even the current devil leaders and even the old fallen angle leaders. He watched as war broke out against them, and the dragon clan won and showed them who is the truly powerful ones, and allied with the fallen and angels. But devils didn't come around angry with the loss. The old stand faction had their numbers were low. He watched as they lived in relative peace, and watched his father, mother, and uncle come into play with who he assumed were the others' parents, and how they acted, realizing how old they were before they decided to have kids a good few years. Shin, makes sense for Uncle Corvo's old age. That means mom and dad would have been super old at this point. He watched as time went forward, seeing how their elemental powers grew as they did and slowly became stronger than their parents, and watched as his grandparents died, then saw how his father came into power with that overwhelming power, strength, and tenacity, almost a mirror reflection to him now, but his father's arrogance was clear. He watched as Akari, Minami, Suri, Myra, and himself came about, and how they grew up, and watched them play around, then saw how he and Akari were always super close since birth. Then the death of everyone came along, and how the land that they lived on for so long begun to sink, and the top of the volcano where he entered was at the top of the massive land they lived on. As he pulled his hand away and looked around and saw there was another spot where he could place his hand. He placed his hand and then saw people dressed in robes and started taking the artwork, tools, and belongings of the dragon clan, even though they were devils, and claiming to be the new dragon clan under the rule of the devils. He saw as they used items from the dragon clan to bless other devils to make them stronger in terms of magic power, making them a force to reckon with, and in his process, their names stuck to this side of the underworld where they kept their fake power to themselves and kidnapped people, and turned them into slaves and sex workers. Whether they were kids or not, no one was safe from their reign. He watched as they used a symbol similar to his dragon clan marking to make a claw where they branded the slaves to show they are the celestial dragon's property. Shin, celestial dragons, huh, let's go visit them. Drake, show them what true dragons are. He nodded, but as he took his hand away, the whole area started shaking and the room around him started to concave and enclose him. He saw a single exit that was taking him to the ocean. He took a deep breath, ran towards the water, and dived into the ocean. Topside. It had been about 9 hours since Shin dived into the volcano, and the others decided to wait for him to come back before even trying their new powers, besides Saji, who had Corvo breaking him. Saji was visibly tired, but he was forced to carry on fighting. Saji, oh come on, why can't I relax like the others? Corvo, you can relax when I say you can be my replacement, shithead. I can't have you weak like those 3 brats that came with me. All 3, hey, we aren't brats. Corvo, that's what you took out of it. Akari is the only one who is close enough to help Shin with the dragon clan. The rest of you might as well be civilians. Sirzechs, does that book help that much? Corvo, yes, it gives the reader everything they need to know in terms of fighting styles, power output spells, evolutions, new powers, roles, and everything you can think of relating to the affinity. Riaz, then it makes sense as to why you couldn't help them much. Hancock, agreed. I'd think you being one on their parental line would know something. Corvo, nope. Now then watch me beat this brat. It's how Shin is going to break you all. Grins. Old hey. That line didn't sit well with them, knowing how strong he is now made them shiver at the thought. Saji got up and tried to attack him, but then was sucked into the ground and then fell through an infinite shadow port. Saji getting sick. I am going to be sick. His speed kept increasing between the two portals, and Corvo didn't look like he was going to let him go anytime soon. Sona began to get worried for him. Sona, is it safe for him to be moving that fast? Corvo, watch step 1 elemental teleporting. Each element has its own variant of teleporting. We use the shadow darkness as our friend. Shin can turn into ash. Akari can turn into wind literally, or fog or smoke depending on the environment. Siri can flash around with light. Minami can turn into water vapor, and Myra can turn into dust. You all have this ability one way or another. Saji getting sick. Then what do I need to do? Corvo, you're a true dragon now, and you know how to use your old dragon abilities, right? Saji getting sick. Yay. Corvo, then you know what to do. Relax your mind, focus on the closest shadow, and pull yourself towards it. Saji getting sick. Ill try. The others watched as he kept falling. Then soon his falling disagreed, and he was behind them throwing up. Corvo, good you learning now, then attack me using that new skill you just learned. Saji wiping vomit. I'll end you now, old man. He dissipated into shadows and appeared next to him and tried to hit Corvo, but his fist went through his body, and then Corvo solidified his body, causing Saji's arm to get stuck in his abdomen. Corvo, step 2, we live off stealth. Use it or die. Shadows are your tools. Each affinity is different. Now show me what you can do. Corvo dissipated into shadows and then appeared behind Saji and was going to strike him, and to their surprise it went through his body. Saji sigh of relief. Thank God that worked. Saji and Corvo kept disappearing and reappearing each time using different attacks that they mimicked from each other. Then Corvo did something that shocked all of them. He froze him in place and hit him a few times. Then, as he released him, Saji went flying. Then he met Saji before he landed and caught him. Corvo, well done brat, you're smart and fast on your feet. Saji, thanks, but what the hell was that? I'm moving 1 second, then the next I'm frozen in place and can't move, talk, react, nothing but breath. Then I didn't even feel you touch me till you let me go. Corvo, secret techniques I'll teach them to you soon. For now, when Shin comes back, we can resume with this current training till everything I showed you, poison, shadow, all of it. Once you mastered it, then you can move on to secret techniques. Saji, works for me. Corvo dropped him and he collapsed on the ground. Saji, what the heck, why can't I move? Corvo, the last thing before secret techniques, paralysis. I only gave you 2 minutes. Saji, someone help me up at least, please. Sona and Serafal came to help him up. Then the ground started shaking, and they all looked around. Even all the women on the island came running to see what was going on and to make sure Hancock and her sisters were all right. Sirzechs, I think Shin did something. Azazel, I think so too. They moved to the spot where he dived in, but there was nothing. The hole was still just there. Hancock, weird, he's still down there. Woman, Empress, the island is growing. All of them were shocked to hear the island was growing. They ran to the nearest beach and saw how high up they were, and how much land was uncovered. Dead trees. As soon as they left the water, started growing more and more. Destroyed homes started coming out of the water. Then what surprised them most was the massive dragon skeleton coming out from the center of the volcano and perched over all of them, looking down at the land below. After 10 minutes the shaking stopped, and they soon heard Corvo's laughing in excitement. They looked to the side and saw him sitting laughing so much he started crying. Corvo laughing, I don't believe it. Sirzechs, don't believe what? Corvo stopped laughing within seconds and looked at all of them. Corvo, hey, Runa and Azazel should remember this land. Smiles, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. God was still alive when you all last stepped foot on the Dragon Clan's main territory. Sharp grin. Oh, what? Runa, but this place has been here for so long. How? They heard something come up from the volcano and saw the pedicle come up and make a projection of the whole island. Hancock, this is almost 500% times the land mass we had. I don't think we can protect it all. You not meant to. They looked up and saw Shin gently falling towards them with his wings out. They looked down then back up, confused to how he was now in the Shin, the secret tunnel leading out the whole cesium below started to crumble, so I had no choice. So uncle, how is it being home? Corvo, great, better than I can imagine. Rise Shin, how big is this land? Shin, I saw some memories of our ancestors, I believe 44.58 million square kilometers. It's as big as the whole continent of Asia in the overworld. Sirzechs, then you have more land mass than the devil faction has currently. You might need to set up some guards willing to fight the fight. I don't think it's going to be long before they realize this massive land mass. They all look concerned. Shin, dragons, come to the pedestal and place your hands. They all did, but Corvo forced Saji to go. Saji, old man, I swear, use your words and I'll hear you out. Corvo, nah, in my old age this is more fun. Saji just sighed deeply and then walked forward. Shin, he's right, you're the new dragon of darkness, you need to start taking the role now. Saji nodded and came closer. Siri, so what now, Shin? Myra, I think I can answer that one. He placed her hand on the pedestal, then the symbol of Terra appeared. Minami, oh, I get it now. She placed her hand on it, then Suri did, and then both symbols for Aqua and Light appeared. Then Saji, Shin, and Akari placed their hands and their symbols added to the roster, and a new symbol was made where the elements spun around, creating a veil from the top of the volcano, and then slowly spread around the whole continent. Shin, now then, I don't think they will find us no matter how big we are. They were all amazed by how much magic was around them, and it was at a level neither faction could possibly generate on their own. Azazel, this is incredible magic. Graphia, it's stronger than anything I've ever made. Venelana, Shin, dear, you look troubled. Is something wrong? Shin, yeah, it's a private matter. I want to talk to Hancock, Marigold, and Sarasona first before I bring it up with you guys. They all looked confused, but he walked and motioned for Hancock and her sisters to follow. Hancock, my love, what's wrong? Shin, I first want you all to take a deep breath and promise to hear me out. They did as he asked, and then he spoke. Shin, I need your help to get to Celestial Dragon territory. They have items that belong to the Dragon clan. All three, what? This made the others all look at them in the distance, then he motioned to them to keep hush. Shin, look, I know it's a lot to ask, but I promise this isn't what you think it's going to be like. We taking over their land. They devils that claim to be the Dragon clan. They don't have any power they claim to have. I know you three and lots of others had it rough with them. But I promise to make sure that the man that hurt you 3 lives, so you can get the payback you want as a future husband, and brother ill, make sure your past never comes back to you. Do I have your support? He could see it in their eyes. It was an emotional subject for them. Tears welled up in their eyes. He could see the frustration on their faces. Hancock, can you promise us that nothing bad will happen? Shin, 100%, you have my word, plus I don't need weaklings tarnishing my clan name any longer. Now come to give me a hug, it's going to be all right. They nodded and came to hug them, then slowly came back to the group who were worried after seeing their faces. Irina, everything okay? Shin nodded before he spoke, making them all look at him. Shin, okay, here is our next plan of action. I'm taking 3 people with me to deal with a group called Celestial Dragons. Sirzechs, oh yeah, forgot about them. I haven't thought about them in a long time. Azazel, now that you mention it, isn't that the same group claiming to be the Dragon clan under the Devil's rule? Shin, yes, now then they have items that belong to us and we're going to get them back and kill them all off. Saji, worried, kids included. Shin, I don't know. Look, I don't need something or anything coming back to try and wipe us out again. Plus they deserve it. They take innocent people and enslave them to be sex slaves or workers. They take children, they do it all no matter the age. They want transportation, they will ride on the back of an old man and beat him when he can't move. Another thing made its way too personal for me now, girls. Hancock, Marigold, and Sarasonda turned their backs and showed the mark on their backs. Shin, each slave no matter the age receives this mark. Now I want payback, so when I ask again, are we going to take over that territory and make the innocent people the real members of the real Dragon clan where they can live happily, or? Sirzechs, no, I am with you. They going to regret their decisions. Shin, now then girls, you can cover your backs. It's kind of chilly. I don't want you getting sick. They turned around and saw the smiles on their faces with tears running. The other girls and women went to them to comfort them. Shin, now then Zech, who was the leader last you were informed. Sirzechs, I remember brushing past this document. I think his name is Flamingo or something. Shin, great, we leave in 3 days, uncle. How far is Saji? Corvo, the transfer of most of my power source is done. He'll slowly become weaker and then soon pass on, but give it a day and he should be able to handle things like you, or so he's smart. Shin, great, but question, how long do you still have? I have questions I want to ask about our family. Corvo, I am old. I'll probably live about another 90 years before I die. Chuckles. Shin, given our lifetime, that's more than enough time. Now then, I think Sirzechs and Azazel and Saji will come with me. I want to see how some monarchs work. Irina, what about us? He gestured to her and Sona. Shin, I need generals here and a group that is familiar with management and fighting here to start getting some of the villages set up. Corvo, I haven't seen any links around the island yet. I think they took the gem that powers it. If you find it, make sure it doesn't break. It would open up some serious transportation portals to each area of the island, but first make sure all the frames are clear of anything. They nodded in agreement. Riaz, go for it. Hancock, we can come when you've taken over everything. Shin, works for me. Marigold, brother, here is the map of this side of the underworld. You need to go past this island called Whole Cake Island. The next location after it is where they all stay, the Holy Land Marie Jewies. Shin, great, now then Zech, Azazel, Saji, let's go prep and get you 3 up to speed. Yuri, what about us? He looked at them. He could see the others really wanted to help them with this, and he knew what it was like to feel useless. Shin, explore this country for me, see what you can uncover and find and mark them as points of interest for us. I'm sure we're going to make a stop at Whole Cake. If there's people we can rally with us to help, then I'll send them your way, make a bigger civilization and here and grow our forces. He brought out the book for them and gave it to them, and they were taken back by how heavy it is. Shin, uncle, I'm leaving you in charge of the island. While I'm gone, can I trust you with managing things with Hancock's help? Corvo, sure, I can do that. Shin, you can leave it to me. Shin, great, now then let's get going. Chapter End. Life 22, Embarkment. After preparing, Shin, Sirzechs, and Saji got on a boat and decided to leave early. The group watched them leave the island. They set the coordinates and left. Shin used his fire to push them further, leaving them on the island. Once they caught current, they all started to relax on the large ship given to them. Azazel, now that we are away from the island, Shin, I hate to say it, but I don't trust your uncle and other cousins. Sirzechs, he's right, I had the same worries when they just happened to arrive, and it just doesn't seem right, you know, like we missing something. Shin sighed and looked at them. Shin, I know, why do you think I left most of the people I do trust with them? The 3 girls don't have enough power to really outpower anyone, and my uncle is really old, and he did give most of his power to Saji. There's this thing since I took the title as king where I can see the strength of my followers. They really are telling the truth as far as I can tell, but I did tell father to watch, and same was with Sarah, fallen mother, and Hancock. Saji, fair, this whole situation is kinda fucked, don't you think? Shin nodded. Shin, yeah, but look, I'll trust them because all of them have proved to be trusted, but time will tell till I fully trust them. Sirzechs, I know we building your trust back and all, and I don't blame you if you don't trust us fully still after what we did, but I am your monarch. It's my job to keep you on your toes now. Shin, how the tables have turned, but yay, I agree with you guys. Let's see what happens, but for now let's enjoy the journey. Saji, you're too laid back now, you know that. Azazel, he's right, but here's a question for you, Shin, the angels and fallen, what are you going to do if they side with your clan? Shin, you've seen how big that land mass is. I'll give the fallen a place on the island and probably have the whole faction turn into the Ventus army. Sirzechs, the angles. Shin, let them pick. They are strong as it is, and the fallen will have something to gain. Heaven Gate have too much on their hands to make a choice like this now, but if they give a few angles, then I'll have them pick. Saji, hey guys. They looked at him, looking over the side of the ship. Shin, what is it? Saji, I think I found food. A massive sea serpent came out of the water and looked at them. Shin, Zakes, let's see what you can do, go. Sirzechs burst forward and kicked the whole thing out of the air and made wings and talons out of fire that looked like it still had his rune power embedded in it, and then sliced it into pieces. Shin, Azazel, you up, let's see how you are with precise attacks. Get rid of the head and tail and the stomach. Azazel nodded and sent a large gust of wind towards the designated spots and blew them away. Shin, Saji, collect the good meat. Saji nodded and used his shadows to get to Sirzechs and then used his claws to grab the good meat and then proceeded to bring it back to Shin. Shin, looks like you guys kept the basics of your old powers. Saji is the only one to have a complete change. Azazel, but this feels more freeing actually. Sirzechs, he's right, I am far beyond my old limits. They both landed and looked at the fresh fish on the boat. Shin, well, let's dig in. We got about a day. If we keep up at this pace, 2 of us should go to sleep and 2 have a night shift. Saji, I'll take the night shift, you know, night shadows, it's my element. Sirzechs, then I'll take the night shift if it's alright with everyone. Azazel, yay, go for it. Shin, sure thing guys. They nodded. Then Shin and Sirzechs cooked some of the meat and then they went to sleep, leaving Azazel and Shin. Azazel, man, who would have thought? Shin thought what? Azazel, us on the run from the devil faction, getting new powers, everything, it's uplifting. I just wish my father could have seen it. Shin, well then imagine Michiel and Gabriel seeing you now. You are on the better side of the coin. Azazel, yeah, you're right, but it's just weird, you know. Shin, yay, I mean I met all my parents the day I killed the devil's elders. Azazel, yeah, you mentioned that. Learn anything? Shin, yeah, my mother Mickey cut Volley's eye out. Azazel burst out laughing, not expecting Volley to lose to a middle-aged woman. Azazel, then I wouldn't be surprised if he holds a grudge against you. Shin, I'll rip his arms off them. They sat in silence for a few minutes, listening to the waves crashing around them. Azazel, hey, can I ask you something? Shin, what is it? He opened his eyes and looked at Azazel, still looking over the edge. Azazel, how can you still trust us after what we did to you? It doesn't feel right to even be by your side. I know the others are grateful to be back by your side again, but we can all agree we don't deserve to be your friends. None of us fought for you, and still you continue to be our friends and allies. Shin took a deep breath and then spoke. Shin, I don't know, a while ago I was 100% done with everything. I had all I needed. Akari was enough, she was my new family, but as we spent more time together it was apparent I haven't gotten over you guys. You all were something important to me. And the fact that you guys just cut me off and pretty much left me for dead sucked, yay. But I got over it and grew. It's something I don't need lingering in the back of my head anymore. Azazel, yeah, we were all miserable after what we did. The Gremory family was hurt the most. You can assume why. Shin, yeah. Azazel, then you did some soul searching and now look, you're the king of the Dragon Clan, a group that even God wanted to be allied with because of your strength. Shin, when I think about it, I think I needed this time away from everything actually. Azazel, what makes you say that? Shin, the girls, yay, I love them, but I still need time to heal myself. Azazel, what's on your mind? Shin, nothing really, it's more I never had time to really be alone since I was banished. I never got to explore more of myself and abilities. Like I was on an island full of women that never interacted with men in their lives, so I was bothered a lot. Then Hancock and I met, and we grew close. Then after like 6 months I met Akari, then I spent a year with her, then you guys all came back. Not that I am upset about it, but I feel one of these days I am going to need to embark on my own journey without others. Azazel, I get what you mean, it's a form of growth, something you need to do on your own and grow by yourself. Shin, exactly, old man, now you're getting it. Azazel, I am not old, but that reminds me. On the next island close to the Shin. The island is known as Misty Island. The waters are too murky to swim in and the large creatures in the water thrive in it. Most of the island is covered with tar and oil, with massive skeletons. In a deep cave inside the island, a relic left behind by the Dragon Clan began to glow red and purple and pools irradiating energy. Time skip a few hours. After a few hours of sailing, Shin, Azazel, Sirzechs, and Saji ate together and saw the island, and both Saji and Shin felt the pull towards the island. Shin, let's go. Sirzechs, what's there? Saji, it's weird, it's like something is calling us towards the island. Azazel, fuck it, why not go see what's going on? The map calls it Misty Island and the logbook says don't swim in the water due to the creatures adapting to the blindness in the water so much that no one has been able to swim in the murky water. But on the island itself there are weird things happening on the island such as disembodied screams. And on a few occasions the large skeletons left in the tar and oil have come to life and attacked members from getting deeper to the island. Shin, then let's go see what's going on. They guided the ship towards the island and Shin and Saji tied a rope to the hull of the ship and flew towards the island pulling it. Once docked at the island, Shin could see the massive creatures swimming under the water. Shin, yeah, let's stay out of the water, these things are massive. The others nodded and walked around the island. Saji, the place looks long dead. Shin, but what's here? They looked around and there was nothing but dead bodies of wash-up creatures and a lot of bones. Azazel, nothing on the logbooks. That mark or symbol on the pillar over there says it meant to say that's how far anyone has gotten, and those who did were never seen again. Creepy. Sirzechs, how well I don't hear anything, not even a heartbeat. Azazel and the winds are quiet. They waited for Saji or Shin to say something, but when they looked, the two were gone. Sirzechs, oh come on, we not even here 2 minutes and we lost them. Azazel, let's fly up, maybe we can see what's going on from the air. Sirzechs nodded, and they took off into the air. With Shin and Saji, the voice led them to a cave. Nothing on this island went off as red flags for them, and once they reached the cave, the relic was beating rapidly. Shin, what is this? Saji, I don't know, let's touch it. They nodded and did so, and power bled into their systems, and they could feel the rush of more energy in their systems. For Shin, something felt different, and for Saji, something new running through their bodies. Shin, this is great. Sparks started to shoot off his body and blobs of shadows started to fall off Saji. The two looked at each other, then both nodded and let the combination of the power merging, creating a large explosion, alerting Sirzechs and Azazel of their position at the center of the island. The two landed and found both Shin and Saji looking at each other. Sirzechs, guys, what the hell? Azazel, when did you even leave? Shin, sorry buys, but this relic just gave us new abilities, I think. Saji, he's right, look at this, he used his shadows and they looked different than Shin used his fire and it was sparking. Azazel, it looks like Shin's fire became more volatile and combustible. Sirzechs, Saji's shadows look like they took to his position, don't you think? Shin, anyways, let's go, I don't think there's anything else here for us. They nodded and went back to the boat and set sail again, not realizing that the island's main features started to change and go away, and the island slowly crumbled away into nothingness. Back on Dragon Island, Riaz and the others were all getting ready to explore the island. Riaz, so if this map is correct, if we start here and make an outward circle as our search line, then we should be able to see what's left of the castle. Minami, this area looks weird though. She pointed at the hologram of the island and zoomed onto their location. Kiba seems like a hot spot. Sona, then how about we all go check it out and let the elders rest? Corvo, yes, let this man rest a bit, and I'd be wary of those spots on the map. The creature nests are filled with tameable creatures, only problem is they are dangerous and violent. The dragon girls might be able to handle them in terms of taming, but getting them to comply is a different story. He then walked away. Gasper, I thought he was going to tell us how to handle it. Irina, surprisingly, I was the same. Hancock, how about I have my woman that was on the island already start repairing on what we have, and you all go explore some of these locations and see what you can find. Maybe you'll find a gate to help us travel around this massive landmass. Akari, I like that idea, kills two birds with one stone. Suri, I think let's deal with this one nest here close by just so we can get a feel for our abilities and also see what we're dealing with. Venelana, well, enjoy kids, I'll be helping the woman prepare some food while your father and Grafia tend to Corvo. They nodded and all spit in their separate ways. They followed Akari given she was the best case right now in terms of power use, and Irina followed since Shin trained both of them for a bit. Irina, I wonder what we walking into. Aquino, hopefully it's not like a stray devil. Myra, what was it like being a devil? The ex-devils looked at her with confused faces. Riaz, to be fair, not all that bad. We lived not knowing what our forefathers did, so we were never affected. But after learning everything so far, I must say I am a bit disgusted with my heritage. Akari, don't be, you weren't the problem, neither of you was, it was the devils that came way before you. Kaneko, but then again, being by Shin's side was always better. Minami, what was he like? Zenobia, what like being close with him, or just him in general? Suri, I think generally what you guys get up to in your personal time with him should stay that way. Riaz, well, he motivates me and supports me to be myself and lets me have fun when I spent most of my life trying to be an adult, which led to our love, but other than that point, he's always been one to make anyone laugh and make sure they are safe. Kiba, ain't that the truth? Dude's been helping us ever since he joined the supernatural world, doing things that would definitely get us killed at the time if we even tried. Aquino, you're right, even guiding us when we strayed off the path we were meant to follow, and even just his encouragement is something I cherish from him. Irina, he's my best friend. We grew up together, we've always been together. Sure, we had a few years away from each other, but when we were on opposite sides, and even after I joined him, it was like we picked up right where we left off messing around. Kaneko, he became family to me. He took the place when I longed for it, and I love him for that. He's like my older brother. Rosway, granted I never spent too much time with Issei. Shin, on the other hand, was always nice and helped me when I was drunk and made sure I was okay. The only memory I have of Issei was when he beat up Odin's son Loki and used Thor's hammer. He inspired me to be stronger for those around me. Zenovia, I am still indebted to him. He gave me a new life twice in a row. Now not everyone can do that. He's always been there for us when we needed it. Sona, she's right, he's even helped us when we needed it and protected us when we were being attacked by fallen angels, the same ones that tried to kill him when he thought he was just a human too. Momo, let's not forget when he sings, he can change a mood just by singing some notes, and it affects people. You guys have an interesting king. Tsubaki, interesting is an understatement. Akari, you're right, when he first met me, I hit him over the head with a broom and left him bleeding. He didn't hurt me, instead he helped me and even protected me when I was going to be abused beyond recognition. Sure, you've seen his nice side, but his angry side is something I'd hate to be on the bad side of. The group that was abusing me and wanted to make it worse crossed a line, and he left them paralyzed and hurt them slowly in front of each other, and then left them for dead in a forest. But after that, you'll see he's focused and determined. He gets his job done, doesn't half-ass anything, and I am sure the others can all agree he's got this aura around him that makes me feel safe, confident, and most of all, it's a feeling that makes you want him to acknowledge your strength. Ria's on the nose. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's probably the same reason Hancock fell for him. Myra, I hope I get to see what you guys were talking about. He sounds great. Minami, yeah, he sounds fun to hang out with. He's the only family I have after Uncle Corvo dies, so I'd like to get closer to him. Suri, you know he doesn't trust us at all yet, right? Akari, what makes you say that? Suri, I know he's asked you guys to watch us. I mean, we literally did just appear randomly, so it's valid, but his trust is something that's going to be damn near impossible to gain. Riaz, I am sure you'll figure it out. I mean, we all need to prove ourselves again besides Irina and Akari right now. Irina, she's right, we betrayed him and we all slowly gaining his trust back bit by bit. Myra, well, let's hope we all get along, then we have a long way to go. They all nodded and reached a massive wall that looked to be made of branches. Konko, how looks like this is the place, smells right. Riaz, but now how do we go about this? Akari, well, those of us who can fly right now can check above and see what we're working with. She brought out her wings and the others tried and nothing happened. Akari, oh yay, we still need to train you guys, Abbott. Okay, wait here and let me go and see. Aquino, be safe, there's a weird energy coming from this place. She nodded and flew up, and they saw a large paw try and hit her that she dodged, and a large ice bear's head peeked over with bright glowing eyes, massive sharp teeth coming out its mouth, and it was hungry. Akari landed with the group, and they needed to quickly assess the situation they needed to deal with now. Riaz, retreat, we are not ready to handle that. It's bigger than Shin when he first turned into a dragon. They nodded and ran away. Corvo watched as they left and shook his head. Corvo, at least they know they can't handle it now. That bear was Kyoko's pet, last I remembered, an S-class beast. If Locke is still here, then that means the others are around. My god, Shin is going to need to come home soon. He turned into a shadow and opened his eyes back at the castle. Zeotics, you okay, Corvo? Corvo, yay, I am okay, just watching the brats. Venolana, interesting, how did you manage that? Corvo, shadow clone, I can see what my clone can see, but it's only used for observation and fast teleportation to get around, not for fighting. Grafia, amazing ability. Seraphil, yay, but guys, I know we should wait for Shin to come back, but what do you think we should do with the devils that want to come this side after the war? Corvo, I don't know, it's not our place to decide anymore, it's theirs. He tapped the table and a projection of Shin and the others appeared. Corvo, he's the one calling all the shots now, whether we like it or not. It is ultimately his decision now, and the others will follow his lead. Seraphil, it's going to be weird not being in power anymore, and my choice had a moving matter, but I'd like to see what happens, you know. Grafia but she should try our best and support Sona. She is a monarch now, and being part of the generals is a big role. Venelana, I am sure she'll figure it out. We all did, but I do suppose now is time to let them grow up. Don't you think we can't protect them forever? With Shin and the others. Shin, well, there it is. They all looked forward and saw a massive island with a mountain shaped like a cake. Saji, I don't know whether to be surprised. That whole cake looks like a cake. Azazel, that place is massive. Sirzechs, how have we never explored this much of the underworld? I've been a devil king for about 30 years now, maybe more, but my god, what is this side of the world? Shin, I have no idea, man. Let's just hope things go smoothly here. Maybe we can see what the celestial dragons are like and see what we up against. They nodded and got ready to embark on the island, anticipating anything that could and would go wrong. Chapter End. Life 23, Whole Cake Island. The group arrived at the island and they were happy. Their ship wasn't something fancy. They docked and got off and saw the people living on the island. Much of the first town they found was normal looking besides the fact they were candy-themed. Shin, so I'm the only one feeling out of place. Azazel, no, I think to hide your rings. Shin, don't need others getting leads about you and your connections just yet. Shin, yeah, you're right. He took off the rings and put them in his gauntlet. They decided to walk around. No one really paid mind to them, but they did blend in well enough. Man, oh man, before I forget, I better get ready for the separation. Man too, yay, I've been ready all week now. When the tides rise, the island spits into 9 and food becomes scarce. Last time was tight, and my family nearly ran out of food. Hopefully, that demon doesn't go on a rampage this month. I just fixed my house to the way I want it. Man, same. Both shuddered and carried on with their day. The group sat down at a coffee shop and got something to drink. Shin, so the island spits into 9 separate islands. Weird. Saji, that's the least of our problems. What demon was he talking about? Azazel, one thing is for sure, there's something off about this place. People being this happy when their lives are constantly disrupted doesn't seem so good, don't you think? Sirzechs, how about we just keep exploring around to see what we can find about celestial dragons? Shin, I like that idea. How about we split up and see what we can find, and at sunset we meet? He looked around for a large landmark and then pointed at something. Shin, we meet at the center candle here in the town. They nodded and then paid for their drinks, then went their separate ways. They went around looking for information best they could, and to Shin's luck, someone that runs a bar gave him some information. Bartender, the demon everyone refers to, is Big Mom, a giant woman with the appetite to eat this country's clean. Shin, then why don't you leave? Bartender, her kids, she has 9 of them, each one runs a town, each one just as dangerous. You clearly an outsider, so I'll show you. He pulled out a pen and a napkin and started drawing. Bartender, you came at the worst time. Honesty, the separation is about to happen. This is caused each month when the water rises for a while and stays that way for most of the month. Sometimes it's gone over 2 months. When this happens, the one massive island becomes this ring of 8 islands with one in the center making 9 islands. When this happens, our lives go on lockdown for a month. We get 1 week out of each month if we lucky. To prepare for the worst, when the water rises, we spend that week just building up stock best we can. But each of the 9 kids demands more from us during this time because they know we don't have much to give or do, and if we try and leave, they hunt us down for sport and kill us, claiming they don't want their people to leave them. Shin, damn, this place sounds horrible to live in. Bartender, on the contrary, it's not as bad as it seems. Fishing jobs increase and fish prices drop, but that's not what you're referring to. We know we're stuck here, but as long as we do our part and do not upset the kids and Big Mom, then we live relatively peaceful lives. Shin, still, I am sorry you had to live this way, but can I ask you one more thing? Bartender, what is it, lad? Shin, I am looking for celestial dragons. He could instantly see the fear on the man's face. Bartender, now why would you go looking for them? They aren't anything to really deal with. Shin, really? Bartender, when the dragon clan fell to the devils, it's been hell since. They were not even worth a damn to fight back against. They have this boost of magic power that we can't seem to grasp. It's a real pain if they want you as a salve. Shin, I see, but if I told you they are fake and have no power, would you believe me? Bartender, I don't know, kid. I know there are some strong people out there. I wouldn't be surprised if you were one of them, but still, it is business I'd rather not get into. Shin, how about a deal? Bartender, that's drinking words right there. What do you have in mind? Shin, can you get the people together and start a protest? Bartender, protest against what? Shin, Big Mom and the Celestial Dragons. Bartender, my god, what do you plan to do, kid? Shin, kill them. They ruined the lives of so many people, and they ruined the name of the Dragon Clan. I'm here to fix that. Bartender, now let's say I do as you ask, what's in it for me? Shin, want to join the real Dragon Clan where you can live free and do as you please without anyone breathing down your neck. Bartender, that sounds like a dream come true. How about I meet you halfway in the middle? I'll get the protest going and draw out of the seventh son of Big Mom and the Celestial Dragons and their brats. If you can take them out with little to no problem. When the separation happens, neither of the siblings talk to each other and only report to Big Mom, but only if they have a problem, else they leave her alone. Handle this town, then I'll follow you as my new king. Shin, sounds like a deal. If I can't, then I'll pay you enough to cover you financially for a year. Bartender, sounds fair. We risk our lives here. Shin chuckled and then left and went looking for Oven and the Celestial Dragons. He had a few hours left and decided to see what was going on. He hid in plain sight and watched the people around him. He then saw someone dressed in a white robe and the people were bending over backwards for him. The man was one of the ugliest men he'd ever seen. He even made his old friends look like models. Shin, my god, what am I even looking at? That is a man. D-Drag, perhaps a side effect of the boost of power you were warned about. Shin thought about it and wondered about something. Shin, don't think so. Look at the younger ones, just as bad. This has to be genetics. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the after effects of inbreds. D-Drag, well, gauging his power level, he's not that far off a mid-class devil. Shin, looks like we can still gauge them as devils. I didn't even think about that. D-Drag, what would you do without me, Shin, probably be dead actually, but I need eyes on Oven. These fools are useless right now. He then felt hard thudding and saw a large man that towered over most of the people, even towered over Shin himself. Shin, damn bigger than me. They watched the man sit down next to a group of celestial dragons, and they were all laughing. Shin, well, I have what I wanted to see. He took off and went to the meeting point where the others were already waiting for him. Shin, all right, one at a time, shoot. Sirzechs, the islands split into 9 different islands for most of the month, then that would be our best time to start what we need to do. Azazel, I got that too, but each island is controlled by one of Big Mom's kids, whoever she is. Saji, she's a big person like Hancock and has similar power over people, but I believe it might be more. I've seen people happy to meet Hancock, but towards Big Mom people seem terrified of her and her kids. Shin, yeah, that works. I got all that too, but look at this. He showed them the layout of what the islands roughly look like. Shin, we are here. The kid we going against is Oven. Big Mom has 8 kids that each run a town, so I made a deal with someone to get a protest going as a distraction, then we go ahead and attack them and get more information out of them. Sirzechs, a bit reckless, don't you think? We don't even know what celestial dragons are capable of. Shin, I found a few along with Oven. He's the only threat as it stands, only ranking in at a normal high-class devil. The celestial dragons only have more power and are about mid-class if you put them all in a spectrum. Saji, that means they really are nothing to worry about, but for others, I can see the massive power boost, don't you think? Shin, my point exactly. Bells ringing. They watched as everyone started moving to their homes, and they could see the water begin to rise a bit. Shin, looks like our mark is coming up. Let's see how much water takes over this place. They nodded and got ready. They jumped into one of the tallest trees on the island and watched as a large wave then started to bring more water in and the island began to sink below the water. Shin, my god, this place is weird. Azazel, couldn't have said it better myself, but now it looks like we cut off from the other islands. Shin, good they don't talk to the other siblings and Big Mom during this time, so we need to handle Oven fast. They nodded and waited. As the sun began to set, the bartender held up his side of the deal and started a protest with a hand full of people, and they caught the attention of their targets. Oven and the other celestial dragons started coming towards them. Sadie, what is this filth doing slandering our name like this? Oven, I am not sure, but it won't be for long. He burst out laughing and was about to hit them with a fire attack, but he was flung backwards and the crowd gasped. Shin and Saji stood with horns out, and the celestial dragons got ready to hit them with their power. CD2, oh what this two brave souls trying to prove a point, this is where you die. Shin, oh think it's going to be quite the opposite. Shin used his Zeton causing red clouds to surround the island and he held them down to the ground. The onlookers could only watch as Shin and Saji walked closer towards them. Shin, tell me something, what gives you the right to do everything you doing now? Saidi, we were born of the dragon clan and sided with the devils, we can do as we please. Shin, shut it, I don't remember permitting you to speak, you're fakes, we know the celestial dragons are nothing. CD4, you the liar. Shin slammed down on the ground and turned into a massive dragon, causing more lighting to spread around the island, and this time causing everyone to kneel before him. He let off a massive dragon screech, scaring everyone. He raised all the celestial dragons and started pulling their bodies in all four directions slowly. Shin, tell me where you get off using my clan name like this. Neither of them could speak. Shin, where's Mingo? CD5, crying, please don't hurt us, we're sorry. Saji then turned into a dragon smaller than Shin, and poison started to spread around them, slowly killing them. Shin, I said speak, where is he? Saidi, crying, he's back in our homeland where the rest of us live now, please don't kill us. With one pull, Shin ripped them into pieces and turned back to his human form, letting go of his Zeton. Shin, everyone listen up, there's no reason to fear us. I am the current king of the dragon clan, neither celestial dragon was part of the clan. We are here to bring back the balance and kill the devils. Is that so, brat? They watched as Oven came running towards them, but Sirzechs and Azazel cut him down and broke his neck. More of the people gasped to see the old devil king and the old governor general of the fallen angels helping them, especially after seeing the news about all of them. Sirzechs, I suggest you follow us, you saw the news, you know what we are capable of, this is the real deal. Azazel, the devils are drunk with power and we going to put a stop to it and bring back the lives you so wish for. Bartenders, you held up your end of the bargain, I made a deal and I am a man of my word, I'll join you and your clan if you would have me. He and the other group that were protesting with him kneeled in front of him and Saji. Shin, relax, you don't need to be that formal with me yet, but go to these coordinates, it can be your new home if you tired of this place. Civilian, what do we get if we join you? Shin, the power to protect your families and a better life where you won't need to worry about people like the celestial dragons making you slaves and Big Mom terrorizing you as it stands right now, that's all we can offer. They started murmuring with each other, then all kneeled for him. All guide us to a better future, please. Saji, whisper, dang man, you make this look easy. Shin, whisper, I am shitting myself right now, never done this before. All the civilians then stood up and looked at him, ready for anything. Shin, all right, set sail and head to coordinates I gave you, won't miss it now, we need to go clear off the rest of the islands, you can leave and dawn or now if you wish. Bartender, is there someone that we need to go meet when we get there? Shin nodded. Shin, yes, one of my fiancées, you should know her, Boa Hancock, she will help you get settled. Civilian man, no way you have her under your thumb. Shin, yea, now then I hope to see you on our island, we have a war upon us and ill be damned if we aren't ready. They all gave him a cheer and then the four took off to the next island. As they landed, they went to work immediately. The child of Big Mom wasn't anything this time, she was easy to handle, and the celestial dragons weren't anything else to worry about. They kept climbing up the islands and on the fourth one they decided to take a break. Shin, okay, that leaves us with 4 more left and what we learnt from Brûlé over there. Prospero, Katakuri, Cracker and Smoothie run the rest of the last islands. Brûlé, scared, please let me go, I told you what you wanted. Saji, and let you go tell your mother. Hell no. Shin, he's right, and you going to take us straight to your brothers, then your mother. Brûlé, scared, and why would I betray my family? Shin, you dealing with the real dragon clan now, we don't take lightly to liars, so when I say we will kill you anyways, then it's a promise, understood? She was shivering with fear. Brûlé, scared, fine, just don't kill my brother Katakuri, please. Shin, why? Brûlé, we can appeal to your better nature and join you and add to your forces. Mother hasn't been doing anything to sort out the celestial dragons and keeps putting it off when they spread like vermin. Sirzechs, and if you lied. Brûlé, then you can kill me, the rest of us can at least try and become allies, but my eldest brother Prospero is a different story. Azazel, how so? Brule, he's easily manipulated my mother and is at her beck and call at any point. Shin, then let's see what happens tomorrow. They nodded and got ready to sleep in the makeshift tent set up. Before Shin went to sleep, he wondered what was going on back home. Back on the Dragon Island. Akari, okay, you understand your basics, right? They all nodded. Akari, okay, I am not the best teacher, so hopefully things will be better. Rias, lead the way. They all made their way to the nest and all stood ready. Given it was late at night after 2 days of training, Suri cast a bright light at the bear and it wasn't fazed by the attack, but it then looked at them. Minami then used water to try and distract it, and Ria's Akino and Akari flew into the air and then sent an attack down towards it. Again, it wasn't fazed by the creature. They were at a loss, they didn't understand what was going on. Corvo, Locke was the most protected beast to come from their parents. It wasn't hurt by basic attacks and he actually helped train with us given his strength. Is he gauging their strength? Elcock then raised an arm and made a swipe at the girls in the sky and Gasper, and Kiba went to catch them. Then Kaneko and Myra flung a few rocks at Locke to try and get him to look away and let the others get away. Sona, Tsubaki, Momo, and Kaneko away to catch the others before they hit the ground. But Locke just hit the ground and large glaciers of ice formed. Rias and Kiba melted it away, giving them some breathing room. Akari, I don't get it. I am using attacks I know cause some sort of effect on enemies and now it's not even phasing it. Rias, even with us we've never seen anything like this. Locke took a deep breath and covered himself with ice and went asleep. Sona, I think we're going to need to try a new form of strategy. Irina, aw man, I wish Newt was here to help us. Akari, no, we won't call him. He's doing the more difficult task for us. We can't bother him with this. We are meant to be his mates and his trusted family. We need to handle things without him, or we could face the same fate as our parents. Rias, how about we ask Uncle Corvo for help? Myra, don't think they will be viable anymore. He's super weak now and it's late if we disturb him now. What he did to Saji the other day will look like he was being graceful. Kiba, how about we sleep it off and try again in the morning? They nodded and went asleep. With Shin the next morning. Brule, you letting me go? Shin, we have our plan. Even if you try and warn them, our plan won't fail. He cut the last of the ropes and she jumped into a mirror and ran to Katakuri, who was with Cracker, Perospero, and Smoothie, who was with Big Mom. Perospero, sister, why do you look distressed? Katakuri ran to her to check on her. Katakuri, serious, who hurt you? She started crying. Brule, crying, the real dragon clan is here killing us off and the celestial dragons that we're visiting. They tied me up and beat me to get information out of me. I am sorry, I told them things. Linlin, Brule, you gave the enemy information on us. How can we trust you now? Brule, crying, no please mother, don't say that. I told them we can be allies and they considered it. Smoothie, but what did they want from all this? Brule, crying, something about killing every last celestial dragon, ruining their clan name. Katakuri held her to try and calm her down. Katakuri, mother, should we speak to them? Linlin, let them come, they won't be any match for me. She started laughing, the building started shaking. After an hour the environment felt off, it was too quiet and peaceful. Perospero, dear mother, perhaps they were in over their heads. Linlin, no, they most certainly know what they doing. I can feel people on all the other islands starting to leave the surrounding islands. Katakuri, if that's the case then let us go and kill them. He got up and he felt a strong presence and it was an angry one. Katakuri, too late, they hear. They heard a slice sound and the roof was sliced off and 2 dragons looked inside the room they were in and they all 4 landed inside and looked ready to fight. Katakuri and his sibling then all started attacking them, but Shin forced them to the ground and they couldn't get up. Linlin, ma, you boys seem to be causing us some problems, don't you think? She closed her hand and they saw the black lightning and neither of them were fazed by it due to Shin countering it all for all of them. Shin, nice trick, but mine's better. He released all his Zeton and forced all of them to kneel in front of him. Shin, now then, Brule over there said you might consider being allies with us, but so far I am not seeing anything worth working with. I think death would be a better fitting for this family. He brought out his sword and they could feel the massive amounts of power leaking off it, more than they had ever felt. Linlin, indeed you are the Dragon King. I haven't felt such powerful Zeton since the fall of your father a few years back. Katakuri, mother, shut it, you going to get us killed. He tried to get free, but it wasn't helping, they were pinned. Shin, who said anything about killing you yet? He forced them face down into the ground and then brought them back, and he brought Big Mom closer to him. Shin, what do you know about that night? Linlin smiled. Linlin, indeed I was there when your father was killed. He was an arrogant man. You, on the other hand, seem different. I can see that anger behind your eyes. Shin, so what if I am angry? Linlin, dragons run on emotions, isn't that right? What if I told you that the celestial dragons are using the dead bodies of your current group parents to power themselves up? They were all shocked to hear that information. Shin's Zeton grew more volatile, and they could feel the pressure on their bones threatening to snap. Linlin, there we go, I knew I could get under your skin. So many thoughts ran through Shin's head, then one thing rang in his head. Kendrick, there's no need now, remember what I said, there is no line, you're the master of fire, now use it, now tell me, who are you? Shin, I am Shin, Issei Hyoudou, son of the master of fire and water, married to the daughter of the masters of wind and earth. Kendrick and Shin, I am the Dragon King. Kendrick, I am sorry, I didn't hear that, you're weak, what? Shin, I am the fucking Dragon King. Shin then took a deep breath and his horn began to grow. Then he used his Zeton with his hand to start choking Linlin, which was more of a struggle for him due to the size of her neck. Shin, you may be able to get under my skin, but I'm saying it now, I'm not going to mess around like my father. She tried to move her arms to get him to let go, but it wasn't budging. They all heard an audible crack and then he dropped her and her body lay there. Azazel, okay, who's next? The five looked at them like monsters. Katakuri, wait, I'm sure my sister told you we would listen to you and hear you out. Saji, and if she did? Katakuri, us here will join you and get you to the next island where you would want to be at. Cracker, he's right. Smoothie, indeed we don't want any hard feelings, we know and spoke about leaving ourselves. Katakuri, besides this idiot brother of mine and the others, they were determined to stay with mother. Sirzechs, so what you saying is you will follow us into battle then? Katakuri, if so be then we shall. We grew up on adventure and traveling, so this would be a great way to show our respect. Shin, seems like you're telling the truth. Prospero, I refuse to follow some BRATS leadership. Mother was the best, mother will be the only person I follow. I asterisk slice. Within seconds his head was severed from his body and the rest of his body was burnt away into nothing. Shin, betray us and we will leave you like that faster than you can blink, understood? They nodded and they were let go, and Shin walked over to Linlin's body and took her rings that seemed to be able to create living things out of souls. Katakuri, as the now eldest and strongest son of Charlotte Linlin, I swear to keep my siblings in line, but be warned, those rings you took use your own life force. If you're not careful, the only way to regain that life force lost is to consume the souls of others. Cracker, I can attest to that. Smoothie, yes, I agree with that as well. Brule, same with me. All four we swear. Shin, all right then, let's go. I have a plan for these already. Here, Saji, Master of Darkness, take them and consume the souls of the dead. He gave them to Saji. Saji, how do I do this? Cracker, you should be able to pull the soul out from the dead body and even the live body and then either consume it or have it become an inanimate object that will do your bidding. Saji focused on Bog Mom's body and pulled her soul out, and it was massive, angry, and violent. He then pulled it closer to him and forced it into a sword, and it was glowing. Then it grew a face and spoke. Sword, let go, killing. Saji, my god, that's creepy. Is there a way to make this not talk? Smoothie, not that we know of, but over time they become accustomed to being used as you wish. Saji, then I have a learning curve. Azazel, I'll help you figure it out. Shin, let's go, we have another island to destroy. They got up and followed him, leaving their mother's body behind. As they left the main building, all they could see was the large amounts dead bodies made up of the guards that fought back and their siblings' dead bodies, and then the mutilated celestial dragons' bodies as well. Saji then consumed all the spirits and they carried on walking towards Big Mom's ship. Katakuri, my god, this is worse than what I could ever achieve. Shin, they piss me off by speaking. Cracker, remind me to stay on his good side. Saji, wait, before we get on, let's see, soothing, I can use this here. He touched the hull of the ship and it went from a pink-looking ship with a few cakes to something more like a battleship with red and purple accents that was prepared to kill off anything. The flags then changed to the Dragon Clan flags and insignias. Shin fitting. Saji, yeah, the ship has a soul in it, so I could manipulate it a bit. Shin, now then let's get to the Marijoa. Katakuri will follow you. They once again set sail, leaving the island in ruin. Whole Cake Island was no more. A few hours after they left, someone arrived at the island, saw the damage and went searching looking at all the damage. He took photographs and sent them to his boss. A man with white hair received the photos and saw the damage. Seems like they make a move, volley front and center. He came and kneeled in front of him. Go to Marijoa, someone is going to attack one of our upper hands, the celestial dragons. If we lose them, then we stand a chance of failure. There are relics there that will tip the scale in our favor. Volley understood. Good, if you succeed, then perhaps you will be let back into the family. Take your team and go, you better not disappoint. Volley nodded and walked off. Ajuka, well, it seems they are aware of what is going on at Marijoa. Whole Cake was the closest inhabited island. You better keep tabs on your devils. I don't need your incompetence ruining years of planning and waiting. Ajuka, yes sir. He quickly got back to work and started reviewing the footage he got. Ajuka, Issei, Shin, whoever you are, what do you know that we don't? This power you have now doesn't seem possible. Granted that you are only probably gaining the rank of the Dragon King, you have a lot of ways to go before you can hinder our power. Chapter end.